John. Hello, John, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We are starting now. I'm introducing you guys now. Hello everybody, greetings. If you are just connecting, you are on to the JMA connection, and today is Monday the 13th of October 2025, and we are here once more to discuss the elections in La République du Cameroun. In Cameroon, there is so much that is going on the ground right now. There is a lot of confusion in the air on social media. You can get people, coming up with what is called, what some will call truths, and of course there are also counter truths all over the place. And we are already hearing shouts. You already heard about, some confrontations in Garoua, chief town of the north region of Cameroon, that actually led even to some deaths. In the meantime, the tone is continuing to be very high from the side of the government. The Minister of Territorial Administration, the very bellicose Paul Atanganji, continues to threaten and to swear hell and brimstone. At the same time, on the side of the opposition, particularly those who are supporting and sympathizing with Issa Tchiroma Bakari, they are not also backing down, and Issa Tchiroma Bakari, as we are going to hear from some declarations he has made, has actually claimed his victory and is making it clear that things are not going to be like in the past, where the opposition won, and in the end, there were a lot of changes, a lot of gerrymandering that ended up with Mr. Paul Biya being declared president. And so the days ahead promise to be really, really difficult. We are going to hear from a number of political actors on this platform right now, and I have a battery of analysts, intellectuals, journalists, and political observers on this platform for this particular exercise. But before we begin, I want to share this thought. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. There's nothing that could be, there is no way it could have been put. It couldn't even have been clearer that power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Anyone who ever sits down at any given point and you believe that it's possible for you to find people who have been in place for 43 years and counting, and who have demonstrated all the time no intention ever of giving up, and you think that through the ballot box or through some kind of appeal to the souls and or to the consciences or to the goodwill of people who appear not to have consciences, and that by so doing you will get resolved, then I guess that something must definitely be wrong with you. Over the years, people have observed and thought that with the changing times, there could be some kind of reform to make the electoral system in Cameroon I mean, more transparent, more fluid, and even more predictable. But Cameroon has remained the only country in the world where elections are conducted and they start telling you nobody can know anything until after about 2 or 3 weeks that only the Constitutional Council can even tell you what is going on. Elsewhere, while the regulation generally allows that the official results are usually proclaimed sometimes in some countries even 2 months after, like it's the case in the United States, but already by the next day after the elections, I mean, the results of the polls are known, the political actors communicate with each other, and then the winner moves from the status of just being a candidate to the status of of a president elect. And from that moment, what is going on is preparation of transition and why they are polishing up the paperwork for eventual proclamation. But that appears not to be the case with Cameroon, and people in the country have grown to know that staying mute and waiting simply means staying and giving room for a lot of doctoring to be done. We have seen return sheets from precincts where apparently the people did not go out to vote. And all know that in the territory of the southern Cameroons, elections do not happen in a good lot of precincts, especially in the rural areas. And that is why the case of Batibo Mogamo today has become, the flashpoint of a lot of mockery, because it's easy to make calls down to Batibo, and a lot of people made calls, and people there did not even know the exact date that the election was going to take place. Yet we could find them saying that there were queues and queues and queues of people, returning votes that simply plebiscited Paul Biya, the people who are being massacred by his military, plebisciting him as if nothing ever happened anywhere. So this kind of attempts at political banditry really define the kind of tension that you are seeing in Cameroon today. And so this and a lot of other issues will constitute the flashpoint of our discussion this evening. And as I said a while ago, I have a battery of analysts, a battery of very informed individuals right here on set to make this show a very interesting one. Let me begin by introducing the lone lady on the panel, Professor Lilian Lem. You are welcome to the set.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Besides Professor Lilian Lem, we have Benjamin Nga. Benjamin Nga, you're welcome to the set.
Thank you, John, and good evening, good afternoon, or good night to everybody. Uh, Professor Lem, happy to have you on set.
My pleasure. It's a pleasure meeting you
Thank you,
here.
Benjamin. We also have Peki Sonjata. Peki Sonjata, can you hear me?
No, I can barely hear you and I can't see you at all.
Oh, you can't see me, Peki? I. But can you hear me?
Barely, I can barely hear you. I just hear like the sound in the background, but I cannot hear you and I cannot see you.
Ok, Peki Sondiata, on va s'activer à résoudre le problème de communication entre toi et nous qui sommes au studio. Donc, je pense peut-être que c'est un truc qu'on va pouvoir régler. I will come back to you, Peki Sondiata, in a little bit while I get the technical crew to assist you in the background to get the technical issue resolved. And I have Pastor political this is even, I'll call him a politolog, and he's even a political activist, Kennedy Ejacha. Kennedy, you're welcome to the show.
On your show, and greetings to all the co-panelists.
Yes, we are expecting Alem Alemanji, who will be here in a little bit. Alem Alemanji is the chairman of DAC, the Diaspora African Amazonian Community. His title. Will be hoping to see him here in just a little bit. So we are getting ready to to jump into the beef of our discussion today, and let's begin by listening to Issa Tchiroma Bakari in this first cut, where he says, from every indication, from the counts and everything, he believes that he has carried the day. Pay attention.
Je peux vous dire que le vote populaire, nous l'avons gagné. Le vote populaire, nous l'avons gagné. Personne ne peut nous battre à travers les urnes. Personne. Et toute la classe politique s'accorde à dire que cette victoire, non seulement nous l'avons gagnée, il faut mobiliser le peuple qui a voulu le changement, le mobiliser, en faire un partenaire déterminé et décidé à défendre la victoire telle qu'elle se sera prononcée à travers les urnes.
So that is Issa Tchiroma Bakari. He's made his point there very clear. He's very categorical, and he says that he believes that the people have spoken and spoken very clearly, and that the vote count indicates that he's made a very great impression, and nobody can alter whatever has happened. Kennedy Ejacha, let's begin with you. What view do you cast on that?
Well, John, yeah, with regards to that video, that's a tailored video. I mean, in all fairness, I just want this to be clear. Paul Biya has always been rigging elections, and we cannot emulate the same behavior that the regime in Yaoundé has been emulating by tailoring videos. This video is a video from the campaign trail, and it's a video that has been trending. It's just that you have the shorter version of it. If you take the longer version of this video, you would see that he was on the campaign trail announcing the next steps. He was going to go to Ezeka, and it was just before he went to Ezeka. So we are more than 24 hours from that election that took place yesterday, and Mr. Tchiroma has made no public statement, and many people are worried about that. That why all this silence? The only thing that we had was a statement from the Union for Change that was signed by Ekane Anise and Jokam Chameni, who are the co-president. They have something they call the presidium. So they issued a statement yesterday in which they purported that Issa Tchiroma has between 60 and 80% of the votes. So that was late yesterday that they came out with that communique. So right now, I'm just skeptical, as many Cameroonians, but I'm not surprised. Skeptical, but not surprised.
Okay, Kennedy, thank you very much. I absolutely take the remark you just made there, because this particular video was sent in at the very last minute, because we are still waiting, and I thought that this was another parallel recording, but we have been told that Issa Tchiroma was going to communicate this evening, and of course I've been in communication with people in his entourage who make clear that these wordings, though they are from a previous video, as you are saying, they simply appear to translate what is in the mind of Issa Tchiroma Bakari. Since you just said that, I guess there is yet another video in which he is, in another setup and making some other declarations in the same light. But while we are waiting, because it's possible before we run out of this this show, we should be able to get some other communications coming in. Benjamin Ga, let me get your view regarding that those statements. Benjamin? Oh, Benjamin, can you hear me?
5 on 5. I don't know where I had to go. Can you?
Okay, you were somewhat frozen. Can you go ahead?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I would like to appreciate Mr. Ejaga. I think so. I think I've not more the name, for being so proactive to detect that video is some kind of tailored video. It is difficult to know that it's tailored, because first of all, when you hear the wordings and everything in that video, it sounds like somebody who's actually talking about an election that has been held already, and probably trying to make his opinion known. That said, I would like to say that even just listening to that video, whether he said it on the way to his campaign or during his campaigns, if you listen to that video, you come out with the impression that Chiruma is not just speaking for himself. He seems to have some kind of confidence, some kind of audacity, which for me seems that there is something somewhere that Chiroma seems to depend on. And what people don't know is that Chiroma is somebody that was imprisoned by Paul Biya. Chiroma thinks about, or nowadays they think about the late Ahijo. Chiroma thinks about the people Paul Biya murdered during the fake coup d'etat. So I think this election will not be the same as the past elections. I know people are saying that they went into elections, the law were the same, everything, they didn't change anything, so they should be ready. They should be ready to accept the machinations of the CPDM and things like that. But I want to assure you that looking at Chiroma's posture, I think there is something in the making.
Yes, Benjamin, I get what you are saying very clearly. I guess before you got to the studio, you might also have heard, some of the rumor running wild that Issa Tchiroma might, actually have dribbled the security apparatus of La République du Cameroun to the effect that right now they don't even have an idea exactly where he is. Is that one of the things that you kind of use to say this time things may definitely not be the same like they were before?
Yeah, sure. That is part of it, because for Chiroma to have escaped the security forces in that manner means that it's something that was well planned and structured. And to again add to that, if you see and hear the way those who come from the north, I mean the Cameroonians who are from the north, that determination, their utterances and the way they are trying to approach everything as of now, because I was talking to someone who is actually a teacher, who's actually in the north. He was very skeptical about what's going to happen and about the planning. And I think we should not, be so stupid as not to think that Boko Haram is so close to they're just like one people, and Chiruma can easily mingle and get what he wants through, some kind of, Boko Haram. You can get help from them, I would say. So I think the powers in Yaoundé, they should be very, very careful. I promise you.
I should say that perhaps that seems to me like going a little too far. Do you have the feeling that Issa Tchiroma want to have something to do with terrorists? Would that be indicating that he might have some links with terrorists, the Boko Haram terrorists, that he may just want to fall back and use them? I really don't know how true that is, but we will get to that. While we warm up to get to that, let's receive, Alem Alemaji on the set. Hello, Alem.
Hello, fellow comrades. Sorry I'm late. It's been a very long and hectic day, but I'm glad I was able to still come and chime in. I've just been chuckling when I listened to my fellow panelists discussing the last part
You
about
take
the
your breath while Lillian reacts to what Benjamin just said, and of course to that statement by Issa Tchiroma Bakari. Professor Lem?
Yeah, thank you. I'll get back to what Benjamin said later. The video you put on Issa Tchiroma, let's even forget the timestamp on the video. I'm looking at a website here that calls itself Les Résultats du Peuple, which is the people's results. According to the website, they've tallied 14,241 polling stations. They have 781,649 votes in. Tchiroma has 74.92% and Biya has 17%. I imagine that this is one of the results of the citizenship mobilization for change, and probably Africa Techie have not verified if it's the platform that is doing it, but I suspect it is. The advantage that Chiroma has in this election is that he didn't campaign for himself. The people campaigned against Bia, not for Chiroma. So the votes that Chiroma is getting is not because he is Chiroma, it's simply because it is a vote against Bia. If we look at these results here, even if results are finally falsified at some point in time, these results have a high indication that Chiroma will win, even if they falsify the results to a great extent, in the sense that the results that are in and those that are still pending that can be manipulated. In principle, Chiroma has won the elections. Whether now formally he will win or not is not an issue. And even if Obia still wins formally, the people have made a statement against him because that's now the government's declaration and not the people's declaration. And if Cameroonians are the people that I think they are now, then that declaration of the government will be null and void because the people are taking back their voice, a voice they've lost for more than 43 years,
I guess,
60 years
Professor Lem, you
actually.
were about to say
Yes,
even if Pobia is declared winner, not even if Pobia
yes.
wins, right?
Even if, when yeah, I mean declared winner, declared
Exactly.
the
Okay.
formal winner, not the actual winner.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I believe that Chiroma has won. But given the machinations that we know, Bia may win. And I think that even if he is the declared winner, the people will not take it. I don't know what the people are going to do, but because they voted against him, they will stand up against him. That is my belief.
And now, can you address the area that Benjamin mentioned about Isachiruma and the fact that the north is, I mean, that Boko Haram is not operating very far from the
Yes,
north, and that they could invite
yes,
themselves into, I mean, this whole situation right now, and just spoil the entire area.
yes. It's a theory some people may think is a conspiracy theory, but which I think is an actual theory. Let me come back to the Amazonian issue. 2 years ago, it will not be possible to hear that Amazonians are voting or are even thinking that let Chiroma be a president and let them negotiate the Amazonian question with Chiroma. Boko Haram has its grievances. All groups that are called terrorist groups by the government of Cameroon, they have their grievances. And since it is against the government, whatever is against the government could be for them. So they may not like Chiroma, but they may protect Chiroma to use Chiroma against the government of Cameroon. Remember that whoever is Boko Haram or whoever is a human being, who is a neighbor, who is a cousin, who is a brother, so protecting Chiroma, they may not use the word Boko Haram, but they may use the Boko Haram resources.
Thank you, Lilian. Let me. I guess I'll definitely be saying Lilian rather than saying Professor Lem. That makes it lighter for me. Let's listen to
Comrade
Peki
John.
Sondiata. Peki Sondiata, vous avez suivi ce qu'a dit Issa Chiruma Bakari. Et je suis persuadé que vous êtes tellement attentif par rapport à tout ce qui se déroule sur le terrain au Cameroun, partout, disons Garoua, Douala, Bafoussam, Yaoundé. Euh, Quelle est ta première lecture?
Good evening, John, and thank you for having me. Good evening to all the co-panelists and all the viewers. Unfortunately, it was during that time that we had a technical problem, and I wasn't able to listen to the videos. Will you be able just to summarize maybe one or two lines what Mr. Chiroma said?
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Peki, I guess it's easier to let you watch that video back, and I also suppose there are some of our viewers who just came in who will
Yes,
definitely be wondering what this really is. If you two are wondering, so just take a listen.
even I
Let's
myself
Okay.
too.
get back to that video. It's pretty short, and I guess it's also going to be helpful for Alem Alemanji. Let's listen.
Nous serons au rendez-vous de l'histoire.
No, that is not the video. If I'm not mistaken, yes, this is.
Je peux vous dire que le vote populaire, nous l'avons gagné. Le vote populaire, nous l'avons gagné. Personne ne peut nous battre à travers les urnes. Personne. Et toute la classe politique s'accorde à dire que cette victoire, non seulement nous l'avons gagnée, il faut mobiliser le peuple qui a voulu le changement, le mobiliser, en faire un partenaire déterminé et décidé à défendre la victoire telle qu'elle se sera prononcée à travers les urnes.
Yes, so Peki, that is the video that we listened to, and that is the video I'd like you to react to.
Yes, I would say that, John, I totally agree with Mr. Chiroma because there's a big difference between fact and opinions. People can have their opinion about certain situations, but we all watch the police stations. We all watch the ballot count, and we all seen how Mr. Chiroma won in the vast majority of the polling station. This is not something that we have to invent. And we saw so many people, the electors, the voters, who were still in the polling station waiting for the ballot to be counted. So if today somebody pretend that somebody else won the election, I believe that election happened somewhere else, but not in Cameroon.
Uh, Peki, Kennedy made a remark at the beginning that this video to him appears to be doctored, that it doesn't seem to be, a fresh video, and that's why he felt somewhat disappointed. Let's consider that this is, a photoshopped video or an edited video, but these statements are still from Issa Chiroma Bakari. You have the feeling that perhaps he's shy at this point in time to come out and say the same words that we have heard?
Whether the video is a Photoshop, I just say, or a real video, we know the context in Cameroon. We know in what kind of environment we are in Cameroon. If Cameroon was a democratic state, I don't think there would be no need to be here questioning if Issa Chuma won the election or not, or if he will really be in power in case he won the election. But knowing the context of Cameroon, I think anything that can shake that regime and make it finally move and let the people's voice be heard will be acceptable. So for me, Photoshop or not is not the issue. The issue is everything that we can possibly do for the voice of the people to be here and to be taken into consideration.
Alem, you have listened to everyone talk about this particular video, not just commenting about it, but also zooming in into what Benjamin said relating to Boko Haram. What is your general reading of the situation on the ground in Cameroon right now?
I'm still trying to recover from Benjamin's statement there. So, I know that we are on social media and, dealing with a country as the Republic of Cameroon, it's very, very difficult to say what goes and what does not go. I'm glad that we had the opportunity to play the video again so I could watch it for myself. There were two key things that I picked up on that video that he said. The first thing was his opening statement. He said, popular votes, we have won, right? The popular votes, we have won. Now, the second thing he mentioned in there was about mobilizing the people to be able to defend these particular votes. And that's where I have a problem, because up until now, nothing different from what happened with Nigel Fruity with the SDF in the 90s and with, I forgot the other gentleman's name. We've seen the same playbook, right, in terms of people coming out. Yes, Mark Camto Moore is correct. So I think Cameroonians in general, regardless of what part of Cameroon you come from, I think up until this particular point, it's been normal, that the popular votes did point to a particular candidate, which is counter to the CPDM or counter to the government. What's going to be very critical is going to be what happens in the next 14 days or so when the official votes shall be announced. Up until then, it's a matter of how you do the build up. Now, for me, my clock will start on the day that the official results are released, because that is when we shall either choose either to see something again as what we saw before in the 90s, or is it true that indeed Cameroonians have woken up from their slumber and choose to support and uphold their votes? Now, having said that, to address the issue of Boko Haram, I feel differently, and here is why. Tchiroma, his hometown, if I'm not mistaken, is Garwa, right? And if you look at the results that are coming on social media, the pre results, I want to call them pre results or the unofficial results, you will notice that a lot of people have supported Issa Tchiroma, whether or not they like Phobia, whatever the reason is, they supported him. I want to believe that, let's say there were 1,000 military personnel that were sent to surround his house. Inside that 1,000, I would say a good number, maybe 200, went there reluctantly. If you have a number as high as that, 20% of people who are just going there because they were told to go there and they're reluctant, it means that having an escape route is much more likable or much more possible in that venue. I think I would like to see it that way, and also the fact that being in his hometown, his people have him at heart. That means that unless you get a totally different army, you bring Chadians and you bring Gabonese and everything to surround his house, he's going to have a way out because he actually has the people's blessing at heart. And don't forget that if Issa Chiroma does win the election, this will be the first time that an elected person, in other words, somebody who has been given a mandate by the people of Cameroon to rule them, is now taking the helm, which means that it's actually answerable to the people, unlike Paul Biya and Amato Hijo, who actually were given the helm by different means. So we need to, I think, step back and look at the gravity of this particular scenario and how things are playing out differently. If truly indeed he does have these numbers, but we're seeing in Garwa, we're not seeing too many images coming out of Yaoundé yet, then we need to be very, very careful. Not careful, but we need to actually, for me, to ride on this wave of quote unquote success, because this is definitely something different. Now, having said that, I also want to come back to Southern Cameroonians, because I know that Southern Cameroonians, even among ourselves, there are those who say, well, whatever is happening on that side of the land, it's only their fault, we don't care about it. But it's nice to understand what is going on. I would want to differ slightly with those in this regard. We have tried several times with the existing government of Cameroon, and I think I want to do a small illustration here. We have tried several times with the existing government of Cameroon to come up to some sort of discussion and agreement with regards to the Southern Cameroons. So I'm going to put this up right here. Okay. Now, if there's going to be a new government, we don't really care who that new government personnel is coming in here, right? We already know that Paul Biya government, we have had little to no success. So, as Southern Cameroonians, it should interest us whoever is at the helm of La République du Cameroon, because we now have an opportunity, or we believe we have a better chance of dealing with somebody who is willing to tailor to our problem. Now, let me tell you this. Yes, we may say that Yusuf Chiroma is a politician. Yes, we may say that he is somebody who has always been entwined with the government, and therefore, how can he even help us with change? But let us also look at things from a realistic point of view. Issa Chiroma, despite the tensions in Bamenda, was able to, whether or not with armored vehicles, reach out and go physically to Bamenda, and whether or not it's politics, apologize to the people for what his government, which he once belonged to, has done. For me, I don't see anybody or any member of the current existing government in Cameroon having achieved that much. Just that. Let's not go. I'm not even going to actions here. I'm just going with this simple notion. So, if Issa Luma has indeed been able to do that, coming to Bamenda into what we call the lion's mouth in that perspective, issue an apology and acknowledge that there is a Southern Cameroon problem, and even giving some steps as to what he would do if he gets into power. Now, granted, all of these may be empty promises, but my brothers and sisters, those empty promises, if he can even achieve just 20% of what he has promised, that has taken Southern Cameroons 20% ahead of where they were with with the previous government. So it is, for me, in our interest, if this is the route that LRC, La République de Cameroon, wants to go with Issa Churuma, then for us, just the sense that we don't want to have to deal with the Paul Biya government because we are already aware of the limitations and the block roads and everything that we've experienced with them. For me, as a Cameroonian, I would think that we should be able to assist our brothers across the Mongo to actually have him be in government because he's going to be answerable to his people. And I
Okay, and
believe that
then
we have a chance or a better chance at negotiating with him than with the existing government. I just want to make that clear.
yes, and absolutely everyone on the set. Why do we think it's so complicated, so difficult to have free, fair, and transparent elections in Cameroon? Is it something that can really never be done? And then when you look at the current situation, is there anything to inform you that if this time, I mean, the Molinex promoter at Tangapondi is allowed to have his way, is there any possibility that there is hope that someday any change can ever come through the ballot box? Let's begin with you, Sondiata.
He's muted.
Sondiata, you are muted.
Can you hear
Sondiata,
me
you are
now?
muted.
There we go.
Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
yes, I can hear you
I
now.
apologize. The reason why it is very difficult to have a fair election in Cameroon is that, by definition, a republic is something that belongs to all the member of a given state. And the purpose of a government is to satisfy the need of the population. But when you have a government like the one we've been having in Cameroon since almost 50 years, that doesn't work for the population, but that work for themselves, for their own interest, the interest of their own family, and their accomplice or associate. They are afraid to go to the population and ask for the population opinion because they know better than you and I and everybody that is on this planet tonight that they are not doing a good job. But not doing a good job, they know that if there's a fair election, there's no chance, there's zero chance Mr. Bia will win. I believe that if you do an election, fair and free election, even in Vokmeka, and you let everybody campaign freely, Paul Bia will not win. So that's the main reason why, with the CPDM regime, there would never be a free and fair election in Cameroon because they would definitely lose, and they know it better than you and I.
Yes, Professor Lillian.
Um, the government of Paul Biya is one that is shameless. Even when everyone sees the videos, the images, the voice notes, and everything, they can still go ahead and declare themselves winner. That I am very certain it's a possibility. However, what I know is that unlike 1982, when communication was very limited, unlike 1992 as well, when communication was very limited, unlike 2018, when Kamto was seen as an opposition candidate being voted for, largely by the Mamilike people and its sympathizers, Issa Chiroma is not being voted because we love him. There is this guy who calls himself Song Derek, who wrote a letter to the devil called to lead. Song tells us that Chiroma is the devil. We know he is the devil. But we are choosing the devil over Bia. And like I said earlier, the vote is not for Chiroma, the vote is against Bia. And if the people truly are voting against Bia, I believe that they will stand up. No matter the results that are declared for Bia, the people will stand up for the candidate they voted for. It's seen across the world that the people are out to oust Bia and have any other devil in rather than the devil Bia.
Kennedy.
Well, Yes, I mean it's good you brought that question, but I just want to just piggyback on some of the things that were said earlier with regards to now, from a very historical perspective, the relationship that might exist between Boko Haram and the regime. I want to remind you all that the regime has connections across the boundary with Nigeria. Uh, the regime, we saw what the regime did to the Ambazonian leadership who were captured right in Nigeria with the help of Nigerians. This should be very, very telling when we are speculating around Boko Haram and who would Boko Haram help or who would Nigeria help. Now, the first thing is, I give you a little example. Back then in the days of Amadou Ali, let's remember this. Boko Haram attacked Amadou Ali, took the wife and some of his servants and went. Within a few days, Boko Haram returned Amadou Ali's wife. That's a henchman of the regime. It should tell us the level of penetration and connection that this regime in Yaoundé can have with Boko Haram and can control and leverage things to its advantage. So it's very important that as analysts we put that into perspective. Now, let's also all of this talk about times and things have changed, and that's why we're going to see the miracle sea wave. I am not,
That
I
was a
am not,
miracle.
yeah, because that's what people are expecting, the miraculous sea wave that has come with technology and everything. In my nature, I'm not a pessimist, because if I were a pessimist, I'll not be in this struggle. As John, you know, we've been in this since we've given the juiciest part of our youth full age to this struggle against the totalitarian regime in Yaoundé. But I'm more pragmatic. When Elekam was about to release the results, we all remember after Tanganji had said all what he said, Camto Maurice and his team promised hell to all Cameroonians, and he was famously known to have made this speech that if they try with his candidacy, they will do what they will do. Those that will die, and those that will be alive would arrange the situation. Came July 26th. He was arbitrarily eliminated from the list by Eleka. And then there was the appeal to the Constitutional Council. And in between that Elekam decision and the Constitutional Council, we had a no make a world slogan that came out, where hell was promised. The Cameroonian people were hyped up. And then came that August 5th, the Constitutional Council confirmed the decision of Elekam. We saw how Cameroonians went out. Because why am I saying this? I want to bring you all to a certain point. The problem in Cameroon is not the Cameroonian people. In 2008, the leadership of the political class in Cameroon betrayed the Cameroonian people when they came out massively. If the political leadership of the opposition was in sync with the people of Cameroon that came out in 2008, Biya would have never modified the constitution. If the political class of the opposition was in sync with the Cameroonian people on July 26th and proceed with what they had promised as hell against the regime, they would, Gamto probably would be on the ballot. Because on that 26th, the Cameroonian people came out. We saw them in Yaoundé, we saw them in Douala, we saw them everywhere. But it lacked that galvanizing force. So here we are talking about free and fair elections. Even Biya's dog would win Biya in an election in Cameroon. The question on the table is not the ability of Biya to win an election, because we know Biya can never ever win an election in Cameroon. But again, Biya has a system in place that no one can beat that system. The only way that you can have Biya out by election is to walk and dismantle the system. If we don't dismantle that system, we would always be having this kind of conversation where we are guessing what's going to happen. Will the people come out or will the people not come out? So this is where we call, and that's why we have to look into the future. And this is what we've always been saying. We need selflessness. It is very difficult for people to stand out to support a person than to support an idea. Now, I will not choose a demon over the devil. I will not choose a devil over another devil. There is one choice that I have made. It is the choice to fight for freedom and to fight wholeheartedly for freedom. That is the choice that we make because it's like they've cornered us
Kennedy,
in
can you
this false
conclude?
fallacy. There's a false fallacy in which they've cornered us, where we think that the only options that exist is Tchiroma or Paul Biya. But we forget that there is the option for Cameroonian people to assert themselves. And except someone will prove me otherwise, it is very difficult to rein in democracy through a post-electoral protest, as we are all planning that we want a post-electoral protest. Tchiroma coming in there, to me, makes no difference.
Thank you, Kennedy. Benjamin, while you were reacting to, what the other people have been talking about, I want you to also look at it from this viewpoint. Kennedy opens, a new dimension there where he says that the leadership has failed the people. Would it be so would it be erroneous to say the people also have failed the leadership? Because when Maurice Kamto was arrested in 2018 and dumped in jail, there was no popular uprising. So Maurice Kamto, making all the noise that he was making, thought that the people would decode, what he meant, that it is time to stand up for what they believe in. But certainly when he saw the mobilization, he decided to look back at what happened to him in 2018 and recall that but for the timely intervention of French President Emmanuel Macron, he would still be in jail, Benjamin.
Yeah, I would say the people of Cameroon are not different from those in Burkina Faso. They're the same people. They're not different from those in other countries that have taken, their destiny into their hands. They're the same people. The fact is, as he said, the leadership is porous. I remember, this very Tchiroma during an SDF rally in Bamenda in the 90s, he said something that I will never forget. And that's why I gave him the benefit of doubt when, he launched his campaign and was, and became this hero he is today. He said there are three ways to get to power, either through elections, either through popular revolt, or through a coup d'etat. That's, you use arms. That these are the only three ways you can get to power. And if elections fail, popular revolution fails, the last option is you pick up arms or a coup d'etat. And I believe that that's where he is driving to, because if the elections uh, don't favor him this time around, he might actually, take the second or the third option. That said, I would like to, get back to the fact why it's so difficult to organize free and fair election in Cameroon. But the kind of system that Bia has put in, where everybody, all the ministers, all the directors, they adore him. They're just sacrifice. They compete to praise him. They're in a competition who will praise Obia the most. And in that light, they are fighting to stay where they are. Even if you look at all the institutions like the judiciary, the legislative, and so on and so forth, they are all controlled and manned by Paul Biya. He appoints them. He fires them when he wants. So how do you expect them to do otherwise rather than sing his praises and fight to maintain him in power? The third dimension is the fact that, as I was telling someone, if we do not take out the capital from Yaoundé, I want to assure you, maybe in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, if we're still alive, we may still be talking about, the CPDM in power. Because the first thing is the way they account, they're entrenched. Because if you look at in the army, they are the majority. If you look at ministers, they are the majority. If you look at CEOs of companies, they are the majority. Meaning that they have the money, they have the arms, they have just almost everything. They can the Yaoundé Center and to an extent, Center, SAD, and to an extent the East region. They have basically, that is the account we're talking about. They have basically everything, and I want to assure you that there will never be free and fair election in Cameroon. It might only be within the Akan tribe. That is my take.
Yeah, I actually share some of the fears that we are expressing regarding the situation in Cameroon. People are wondering, will people really go out there to defend their votes? Can Issa Tchiroma Bakari have the bone to go all the way to the end? And you just said something that the system that has been put in place. I guess it's yesterday that I was on this set and I was telling people, and now I'm repeating it, that yesterday I spoke to about 16 heads of Elecam offices in the southern Cameroons, 16 of them who volunteered to talk to me, because I know I know a lot of them. 16 of them reached out to me, and this is what they told me. They said, when I was talking about the situation in Batibo, I tried to reach the one in Batibo. Unfortunately, the phone numbers that I got for her did not go through. I just wanted to cross-check. I'm even aware she will not even have spoken, because I learned it's a young lady. As these people told me in very triumphant terms that from 6 a.m., Atanga Ponji started reaching out to each one of them personally. Atanga Ponji, the Minister of Territorial Administration. By midday, he called back each one of them and was giving them figures. He will ask you how many people have voted there this far, and they say at this polling station, since we are here, only there are about 7 of them who said most of the polling booths in their areas, less than 5-10 people voted. Sometimes just the polling agents, the soldiers who came there to guard and all of those. But you tell Atanaji and he tells you put 600. At this place says put 800. At the other places put 1,000. Now you ask yourself, in such a situation, how do you expect that there can be a free, fair, and transparent election? That's not going to happen. Atanga Ponji is not the Director General of Elections at Elecam. Atanga Ponji is not the chairman of the Electoral Board of Elecam. And if you look at the organic text of Elecam, it says Elecam is supposed to act independently. The Ministry of Territorial Administration just brings in administrative support. But from the look of things, you have not heard the chairman of the electoral board of Elecam, Eno Abrams Egbe, give a single press conference since this whole exercise started. We have not heard the Director General of Elections at Elecam. Everything is a one-man show in the hands of Paul Atanganji, which tells you effectively that the election organization has been taken back from Elecam and is in the hands of one man called Paul Atanganji, who dictates everything, dictates even the sheets, and dictates even the results. But before we get into the nitty-gritties of this, you just said something. Let's listen to what Issa Tchiroma says regarding the concerns that we have raised. Will he abandon the people? Will he be the good shepherd that decides to tell the people the time to go all the way to the end has come? Let's hear him.
Cette fois-ci, le peuple ne sera pas trahi. Cette fois-ci, les Camerounais défendront leur voix. Nous ne permettrons plus que la volonté populaire soit confisquée comme par le passé. Monsieur le Président sortant, vous êtes encore en fonction, mais je suis désormais, par la volonté du peuple, votre vis-à-vis. Vous avez un bilan. Moi, j'ai un programme. Vous avez gouverné pendant 43 ans. Moi, je viens proposer 3 à 5 ans de transition pour reconstruire ce qui a été détruit sous votre règne. Sortez de votre palais. Venez battre campagne. Venez débattre devant le peuple. Défendez vos 43 ans de règne et je viendrai présenter les 6 grands chantiers du programme commun de transition. Vous avez gouverné par procuration, utilisant la peur, la manipulation et la division comme arme politique. Moi, je viens avec l'espoir, avec la réconciliation, avec la volonté de rassembler tous les Camerounais. La bataille commence aujourd'hui. Et je vous le dis clairement, je ne perdrai pas cette bataille, car je marche avec le peuple, car ce sera la victoire du peuple. À mes frères.
Is that very clear? Does he answer to the fears that are being expressed on this platform that, things could happen this year, this time, like they have happened before? Becky, can you go in first?
Yes, John, thank you for coming back to me. First of all, I want us to make a difference, a clear difference between politicians and maybe revolutionaries. In Cameroon, if there was a switch that anybody can turn on and all the 30 million Cameroonians go on the street, I think we would have defeated the BR regime since a very long time. But such thing doesn't happen. And remember, the politicians can only do politics. Politicians are not the ones to go and put together maybe a revolutionary army and come and overthrow a government. I'm saying that this referring to what our brother Pastor Ejasha said. Professor Kamsto, when he was in jail, the CIM movement tried to organize another protest, but about 1,000 Cameroonians were arrested. About 500 of them were jailed. Up to today, maybe 6 years later, we still have about 30 of them in jail, including Professor Alain Foguet, Bibou Nisak, and everything. It is not that they haven't tried, but do they have enough strength to compete with the brutal regime that they have in front of them? I don't believe that it is the case right now. Now, let me tell you this. I have a conversation about 2 years ago with a high-ranking member of the CRM movement. And I asked him this very question. If ever you win the election, what assure you that you'll be able to go into, to get the actual power? And what he told me was this: what the CRM is doing. We have studied already the strength of the government, the CPDM regime, what make them doing everything they are doing. And what we have doing is to deconstruct it little by little, step by step. And I think it's what we have seen. Well, there's something they call in French, le peuple de changement. I believe that the CRM have already worked on the population to make them come out massively and register to vote, to educate them politically, to make them be interested, people in Cameroon or people abroad, about the situation in Cameroon, to know that the citizen is the person that every politics should serve, and all that. The work was already done. As our sister said earlier, people didn't vote for Tchiroma. It was just that peuple de changement was there and was ready. And they were considering Kamto as their leaders. When they decapitated the leaders, they were looking for a new leader. Unfortunately, people that were in the opposition for a very long time, like Cabral Libi or Joshua Osei, never appeared to play a fair game. But Tchiroma just came and capitalized on that environment. And less than 2 months, the peuple de changement just followed him to have what we are having today. Remember, back in 1992, we didn't have the opportunity to see the result in the polling station the way we're doing now. In 2018, we didn't have the chance to do that. And that's one of the things CRM I work on. Knowing that as soon as the result is official and everybody, like all of us, we are here in America. The election happened yesterday in Cameroun. We all know what happened in every polling station. That's one of the things that the government were using to rig the election. Now it will become more complicated because they are work on ways to stop this. And there's another thing that is very important. A lot of people were talking about President Campton not endorsing a candidate. When you see how his candidacy was, well, how will I say? I don't even know what word I should use to talk about what the regime did with the candidacy of Professor Campton. Everything that he tried legally didn't work because the system, his goal was to stop the candidacy of President Campton. And the system knew that if President Campton endorsed a candidate, the candidate would be the next person to hunt, the next person to bring down. So technically, he did not endorse a candidate because he didn't want the government to focus on nobody. But if you see the way the CRM member was operating on the ground, everything was pushing everybody to go toward Issa Tchiroma, and they didn't have to say it. And that's what brought us here. I'm concluding by saying that, Pastor Ejasha, I hear you very well, but politics is different from revolution. If we want to do a revolution, that will be a revolutionary. But if we do politics, we can only use political means. And we have to make a clear difference to know the path that we are taking to fight the CPDM regime.
Yes,
Yeah, can
Alan,
I just
you have
piggyback on that?
listened carefully to what Becky just pointed out there. And I mean, it's true that you have a lot of questions being raised as to whether the people themselves are now willing and ready to forget about bread, sardine, 2000, perhaps, and all of those, to pay attention to the things that can determine their future.
Hey, Comrade
Alan.
John. Okay, sorry, let me just chime in. Like you've gone, I think there's a lot of things that we discussed. We began with technology, right? So, from where I stand, and I think this is where a lot of our brothers and sisters, a lot of our brethren and sisters have done an awesome job. Again, I like to illustrate things. I'm going to go to my paper here. There is a big deal in terms of technology that has been put in place within the current election that we may not have had before 7 years ago, or even in the days of Ni John Fruity. If I go to my diagram, again, I like to illustrate this. Um, let's see here. Okay, you can see very clearly that when you look at elections, you have different phases, right? You have pre-elections, you have things that happen prior to the election, you have things that happen on the election day itself, okay? Then you have this body that we call ELECAM that goes in to do what they call verification and what have you. And then you go into the Constitutional Council, and then you have the declaration of who was won, right? Now, if you listen to what my brother said before, Kennedy, and I think he has a very good point here. The problem is that the system, in other words, the way that the system operates is not transparent enough. Now, I say this gently because if you look at the efforts that have been deployed in this election, in terms of the technology has helped us here. Okay, I'll put a T here for technology. They have helped us in this idea, galvanizing the people, arranging, getting them to vote, making sure that the numbers are accurate and all what have you. Also, the technology, those that have worked with technology have also helped us here in this section here. On the election day itself, having people go to the various voting booths, counting that same moment so that they don't have fraud or whatever it is. So I can see technology helping us here. Now, as you go up the ladder, it becomes a little bit more difficult. And let me put this in a little bit of a gray box because the technology can only help us with so far here. So I'll put a small half a T in this one. And I'll get to it, I'll explain why. And then when it comes to here, the technology is zero. Now, somebody may differ with me on that. But let me tell you this why. Our issue has not been in terms of accuracy of votes, or I would say to some extent, yeah, but not that much, right? because of counting who voted, who did not vote, who won. The technology has helped us to get numbers up until we get to about this point. As a matter of fact, let me put it this way, up until it gets into Elecam. The problem between here and here is that you have a direct line from the presidency that comes in here and a direct line from the presidency that comes in here. And that phone call can make or break the discussions that happen here and here. If you want to fix the system or to rebuild the system, it has to be a system that is independent of this phone call, independent of the presidency. That's all. That's the only correction it needs to be. The body that builds this section and the body that builds or engrows this section has to be a body that is put by the people. And it takes me back to the whole idea of John Barrow, what you mentioned about Atanga Ponji saying this and saying that. Now, there are, if you look at the rules in Cameroon, Cameroon is one of the few countries in Africa that actually does have a good set of rules and regulations. And before you chew me out, let me tell you why I'm saying this. The problem in Cameroon is that those rules and regulations favor just, not favor, apply to just the common man and the common people. Otherwise, how can you explain that Atanga Ponji mentioned the fact that nobody should go out and talk about proclaim votes ahead of time, right? Popular vote or whatever it is. But just today, if I'm not mistaken, somebody of the CPDM party has already gone to talk about Tchiroma succeeding and that. But guess what? The man is still roaming the streets. Now, if anybody else in any other party were to do that same thing, that person will be locked up. So this is where there's a brokenness in the system. If you are within the government, it is okay to break the rules and regulations. Whereas if you are outside of the government and you break those rules and regulations, you have consequences. That, my brother, is what needs to be fixed. So when we talk about why can you not have fair and clean elections in Cameroon and many other African countries, or even other European, Eastern, or maybe third world countries in general, is because there's no respect to the position at hand. The respect is to the people. So, like on this call right now, we're talking about Atangana Ponji. We're talking about individual people, right? The people, we should not be talking about the individuals. It should be about the office, for example. But we have been so much embedded in this system where we say, yes, Monsieur le Gouverneur, Monsieur le Président, Monsieur le Ministre. We tie our allegiance to the person and not to the office. And for that respect, it also means, and to that degree, it means that that person has the powers that be to be able to do certain things. Like I said before, if you look at this Constitutional Council here, no matter what the vote came in here in 1820, we have all seen, we've all heard speeches that came out of the previous election, even when Lee Jong-fu won. And what did you hear predominantly? No, in Anglophone, no proper air to represent Cameroon, even though we knew that he won. So therefore, a couple of calls, a couple of emails and letters went behind the scenes to influence that Constitutional Council's result. If you do not change that, that means that, like Benjamin has said, you now have to fall now to the next level of power, of force, because the electoral process is rigged because it has pores, it has holes that can only be accessed by
Lem,
government
conclude.
officials to thwart votes. Now, I'm going to leave this one aside and go to the next point. Why is it Burkina? Somebody mentioned Burkina Faso. You see,
So, can you conclude in 30 seconds?
yeah. I'm going to try. Burkina Faso's case, if you notice, the people rallied around this individual who happens to be a military person, right? And the people have given him the power to do what he can do best. Now, because he has been put there by the people, even though it was through the coup d'etat, the people continue to surround him and even avoid any other future coup d'etats that have been plotted against him because he's doing what the people want. That guy in 2 years has done a lot more than his previous government put together have done in 5 or 10 years. Okay? So if you now fast forward and bring that ideology into the Cameroons, we want to believe that the power behind Tchiroma will be able to go past this point. They'll be able to go past this constitutional council point so that on the day that the elections are announced, the official results, if those results do not align with the people's votes, then the people, without being told and said or what, they will go out and ask for their votes. They don't need a switch, my brother. They don't need there should not be a switch to tell you that your vote was twisted. No, 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 no. If you feel as though the votes were not correct, and you know that following the technology, it has proven all up here that indeed the people said A is candidate, and now the election says that B is a candidate, then therefore the people, without even being told, must hit the streets. And before I conclude, JMA, word is coming out from Yaoundé, from reliable sources, that there might actually be an internet shutdown for 7 days. And I'm saying this because this is where, again, we have to realize where our strengths and weaknesses are. If there is internet shutdown, a lot of the social media communication, I think 99% of that is actually carried on the internet. So if there is a shutdown, my only hope is that people that are really Cameroon are already knowing right now what the plan B method would be for them to be able to communicate and transfer their messages, because media sources like CRTV don't need the internet, right? They can be
Okay.
powered from the ground. But
Okay,
social
Alan.
media who are carrying the truth, if you want to say that way, will be highly limited if that were to come out to be true.
Okay, thank you, Alem. Lillian, besides these issues that this particular issue that Alem and others are addressing, if you look at the comment section of this live broadcast, of course, there are people who are saying that the disengagement of the people of the southern Cameroons from this political process in Cameroon, the refusal, I mean, the decision not to participate and not to vote, I mean, they are saying that it appears to have favored the CPDM. Do you think anything could have been otherwise? You addressed that just as you're talking about the other issue, Lillian.
Before coming into this program, I saw a Facebook post, I think by the ADF, that said they've neutralized people who are carrying votes from somewhere, I can't remember. And the question that I had in mind was, we say that the people's voice should be listened to. So if people actually voted and the Anglophones are neutralizing the people carrying the votes, it means that the Anglophones themselves are shutting down the voices of other Anglophones. I think that the Anglophones have voted a lot more. If we look at the 2018 elections, the Southwest voted just 5% and the Northwest 10%, and the total would have just been, if my math is correct, about 15% maximum total vote from the Northwest and Southwest regions. I think this year is going to be
The
a lot
overall
more.
figure said the general figure published by Lekam was 5%.
Okay, let's even say 5%. I think this time around is going to be a lot more. The Anglophones are voting not because they like Tchiroma, as I said before. They are voting because they are seeing a glimmer of hope that since they failed to have a negotiation within the government of Bia, they may have a negotiation with the government of Tchiroma or any other government at that, given that there is an opportunity for a dialogue, an opportunity to release
Lillian, do
political
you think they
prisoners.
really voted like seriously? Because perhaps in some some urban centers, in some quarters, in some urban centers where it felt safe, people voted. But in most of the rural centers, they really didn't vote. Do you think that the turnout this year will be different from that of last year?
Yes, I am very positive that the turnout is going to be a lot more. I heard a report yesterday morning when I got out of bed. It was already midday Cameroon time. The report was in Bafut, my language. Two things. There was a campaign where someone said, when you go out, you vote for Pa Churuba's son. They translated Chiroma to Churuba, which is a Bafut name, and told people to vote that name. Then on the day of the vote itself, there's another report in Bafut which says that the Bafut people were voting, and gendarmes came in and fired, dispersed people, took the vote to, I don't know whether it was the DO's office, and then eventually, before they came back, votes were stuffed, and their own votes were now problematic. In 2018, you wouldn't even hear that one person voted in Bafut. But now we are hearing reports of people who go out to vote, and it is the government that is deterring people from voting. So I believe that the number of votes of Anglophones has increased. They have not increased because they've forgotten their cause. I believe they are increasing because they are looking for a possibility to dialogue. Given that the previous government has refused to listen to them, there is a possibility that if there's a change of government, there can be a dialogue and they can be listened to and negotiations can actually happen.
Yeah,
Benjamin, do you share that view?
that's true.
We don't hear
Benjamin is
you.
muted.
Benjamin is muted.
He's muted.
I'm quite sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think the whole issue is that if you look at the situation where Anglophones are, or starting Cameroonians are,
One.
they've been caught, they're in the catch 22 kind of situation, in the sense that they don't actually, as a moment, even know where they belong. They don't know whether they have to vote, they shouldn't vote, because there've been a lot of confusion from the leadership of even Anglophones, and and the mess in Yaoundé. So I think what we have to do, or as people who have some kind of knowledge or a little bit educated kind of, I think our people, especially those in the villages, they need a lot of education. As far as I'm concerned, if I had the opportunity, would have allowed them probably to vote. And if that vote could help, send the Bia regime away. Because even when we talk and mention Bia's name, it aches me deep, because I know that guy, that man, that dotard fellow, he is not controlling Cameroon. Cameroon is managed by Ngongo and Chantal Bia. That's it. This country is loose. There's no one, even there can never be any negotiations between Anglophones and Francophones, because there's no leadership. It is, I mean, everybody comes in there, gets what you can get, be corrupt, grab what you can grab, and you leave. So personally, I think even if there've been an increase in the in the Anglophone vote or whatever, it's just out of some kind of confusion. To be honest to you, they don't know what to do, where to go, and it's pathetic.
Well, Kennedy, I know you want to chime in, but before you do, let's take a look at this other short video here from Mesanga Nyamding, who is explaining exactly, I mean, how things should be happening the way they are happening. Because, truth be told, and it is good that everyone knows this, even within, especially within the government of Cameroon right now, the division is clear. There are those who believe that Paul Biya, or that Paul Biya has been ruling by proxy. There are those who believe that he doesn't even know where he is a lot of the time,
It does
and
not.
so power has been confiscated and is in the hands of Ferdinand Gongo and Chantal Biya. So a good lot of them are not even certain what their future will be at the end when the official results are proclaimed, and if they indeed succeed in stealing this victory again for Paul Biya. There are some who have even already been told that they will be kicked out of the government, and no one knows Ferdinand Gongo's end game. So this too is creating a lot of confusion. And getting back to the issues, or to the issue of the Southern Cameroon's participation, I'm in a haste. I mean, Lillian, Benjamin, and I guess when Kennedy comes in to say that the non participation or participation will not even have done anything with those elections. The people have simply been tired that over the years we have sacrificed enormously. We died in huge numbers in the 90s right up to 2016, struggling to bring about change in the entire triangle. But that, I mean, the other people looked away. And so at this point, the people of the Southern Cameroon say we've had enough. We want to bother about ourselves. You now take your own destiny into your hands. Will Cameroon remain one at the end of this process? Will it be in about four fragments? I mean, Cameroon, Republic of Cameroon, in about four fragments? Because let's be clear here. Joseph Owona had said in 1993 that they will never accept the Bamileke Atetuti. That was number one. And number two, he made clear also in another sphere. Power going back to the north meant that the people of the Bulu Ekampetis will be decimated in revenge of what they did in 1984, which therefore meant that the power will remain. That means power has to either be with the Ekampulu Betis or with the Ekampulu Betis. That is what it has to be. And if it has to be otherwise, you can expect to see a secessionist fight within La République, raging. This is something that is being discussed. It's not something that is flying from the skies. Hear it from Mesanga Nyamding.
Moi, je peux vous dire que cette élection sera très difficile pour deux raisons. Un, nous sommes conscients que beaucoup parlent au nom du président. C'est le biaïs qui le dit. Et même dans mon parti, on est plus divisé que, regardez le conflit Famendongo, ministre d'État René Sadi. Je ne veux pas vous citer la déchirure qu'il y a dedans. Dans notre parti, nous les biaïstes, si on ne se réconcilie pas, parce que certains attendent qu'ils vont faire le coup de force, Paul Biya va passer, et puis ils vont se mettre à envoyer des gendarmes lorsqu'ils vont faire leur faux remaniement ministériel qu'ils préparent. Parce que j'ai déjà entendu dans les couloirs dire que quand on va enlever tel, vous voulez que je cite les noms? Je peux citer. Ils ont dit, après l'élection présidentielle, nous allons enlever Esso, Laurent, ministre d'État, nous allons enlever Motazé, ministre, l'excellent ministre des Finances, nous allons enlever Sadi, nous allons enlever Ibaïsi, nous allons enlever Ketcha, nous allons enlever... Et s'ils ne refusent de partir, puisque nous on va parler après le président s'il gagne, nous allons envoyer des gendarmes et les déloger. Vous comprenez que nous sommes plus divisés que ces opposants.
Mais ça, c'est une
Ah oui, je l'assume.
révélation suffisamment
Et
grave.
cette révélation qui est une exclusivité de votre émission, qu'on sache que ce combat ne va pas s'arrêter là. Quand on parle de l'opposition, c'est pour nous distraire. Aujourd'hui, dans cette heure de donc, deuxième point, et j'ai dit que je terminais, prenez très au sérieux M. Belobou Baïmaïgari et Tchiroma. Parce que je crois
Non,
que
bon, on n'est pas là pour...
je ne trahis personne.
On n'évalue pas la
l'opposition. Il y a une alliance.
So let's halt it there, and I'm effectively also opening the line so we can have a few people call in. If you're watching from Cameroun, you want to call and participate. You're watching from wherever in the world, all parts of the world. That is the calling number there, and that's WhatsApp only. +1 And so, Kennedy, I'm coming to you now. You have listened to Mesanga Nyamding. Do you still think the same way you were thinking before this time?
Oh no, I give no credence to what Mr. Nyamdi says. He's a court jester. He's just there to animate the gallery and to confuse and misdirect people's attention. He has said gruesome things. This is the same guy who said that he has videos of Camp Maurice and things like that, which is crazy. It's unprovable. So those type of accusations, from there, if I had any credence on him from that moment where he said those things about Camp Maurice, I kind of like just put a cross on him, and he's not a different person. But my greatest concern today, when I see all what's happening, is the fact that my people want to rely on the benevolence of a tyrant or a tyrant's puppet. That benevolence, that expectation of benevolence that is pushing us towards wanting to embrace Tchiroma, waters down the candor of our struggle.
Yes, I agree.
I would be very specific on this. People say that Tchiroma asks for forgiveness, but I'm so devastated to the core when I hear right-minded people say that Tchiroma came to us and asked for forgiveness, which in reality was an insult, because if you go back to that video, and I always send people back there, you hear Tchiroma in Bamenda telling Bamenda people, Ambazonian, you are my friends and everything. I'm telling them that even before I came here today, I called Chris Ando my friend, I told him I'm going to Bamenda. And he said, okay. And right after that, he said, I'm asking you guys to forgive me. The thing is that 60% of that statement has been proven to be wrong. It was a lie. So that same mouth that lied about talking to Chris Arnold before going to Bamenda is that the same mouth at the same place, breathing the same air, that's that forgive me. So when you give credence to what he said, because
Kennedy,
I
do you?
believe
Yeah,
Chris Arnold.
Kennedy. I'm not. I don't want
Well,
to
let me
interrupt
finish.
you.
Let me
Yeah.
finish, please,
Okay. Yeah. Go
because it's
ahead.
important that we understand this, and it answers the bigger part of our question. I called Chris Arnold to verify from him if he spoke. It was from me,
I'm
if
home. I'm downstairs.
I
Well,
was the second person
if I'm over there,
that had called him to verify because he
yeah,
told me that he was heard.
yeah, already up.
And he said he was going to confront Tchiroma. And he
Well,
did
back
that
my.
with three different statements where he confronted Chiroma
Please
and
move
said
down there. Come
he
downstairs.
knew
Yeah.
nothing about. So this level of desperation that our people have fallen into, to the point where they believe that it is the benevolence of a tyrant or a tyrant puppet that will give us our freedom, rolls back all the struggle that we've been fighting for as Southern Cameroonians or former Southern Cameroonians, because whether you are fighting for federation or for ambazonian separation, there is a core point of intersection between all of these two sets of Southern Cameroonians. They are all fighting for self-determination, which makes that, I always say it and I say it proudly, I am 90% in agreement with Ambazonia. The other 10%, could it ever be walked? But I think it's workable. So we are in a sham, and we have to wake up and say that we have one choice in life. It is the choice to fight for our liberation, to obtain self determination, and everything else that does not give us a guarantee of that is something that we will not take. You know,
Yes, sir. Kennedy. You really raised some pertinent issues there. I like to add there, like I mean, I like us to take it from the perspective of the Bishop of Yagua in Republic of Cameroon. The Bishop of Yagua said, "Let the devil take power first, and then we will have the opportunity to negotiate with that devil afterwards." I guess perhaps it's in that light that a lot of people decided to, say, of all the devils, of all the demons presented before us right now, it would appear that Issa Tchiroma could easily go from Saul to Paul. Is that what
John,
you
let
think,
me not
Becky?
get you. Please, no, John. Please, 1 second. You raised something there. Let me clarify that. Now, when that bishop of Yagua, that bishop is a Catholic, not so, and we know the intermingling that exists between the Biya regime and the Catholic. So, how did this bishop know ahead of time that the best plausible person that Cameroonians will have is someone that they can easily call a devil? We have social engineering. We have people that work in the lab in order to control the people's mind. And I would still believe strongly that this bishop, they had gone in, they had prepared everything. Because if you remember, just before they launched this electoral circle, the
Kennedy, do
first
you think it's
diplomatic
really
move,
plausible that that bishop at that time, he was speaking at that time, Issa Tchiroma had not resigned and the Maurice Kamto had not been rejected and Issa Tchiroma was not
because
yet in the
all of this
opposition?
is
Was it possible
prepared.
for him to imagine that Chiroma will have this level of, acceptance and all of that? I'm just inquiring
No,
to
but do you
know.
think that, no, do you think that all of this is by mistake? None of
Um,
this is by mistake. That's what I always say. Because see,
Lillian,
the first
Allen,
visit,
Benjamin, and
the first visit that Paul
Kennedy,
Biya
any of
had,
you can chime in
Paul
when
Biya had the
when we
visit
stop
of the
talking.
Catholic Church. That was his first visit that propelled him back after we had not seen him for a long time. So there could be some
Kennedy,
connections.
you sound very pessimistic about everything. What is happening now is we have a situation at hand. The way you sound is as if, okay, do nothing, just wait for Bia to sit there and then we look for solutions. I don't subscribe to that approach. I think that something should be happening. They say in my language, if you're waiting for somebody, keep moving. While we are waiting for the best, we keep working on something. Kawala is working on the changing of structures, and that's why she did not stand for elections. We have spoken with different civil society organizations on the ground who do not believe that there's going to be a change in power. But they, however, believe that the only thing they need to do is to work towards a change of structures in Cameroon, starting from municipal elections to parliamentary elections before they move up to presidential elections. The other group of people who are working for a change in governance are looking for a candidate that they think will handle a transitional government. In between, Ambazonia, Southern Cameroonians, or whatever you call it, has been stagnated for over 8 years. I think that we cannot just sit, fold our arms and say, no, we are not voting. No, we cannot vote for the David Tchiroma. No, 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 no. We must do something. We cannot sit and hope and have beautiful theories about what is best. While waiting for that best, what are we doing now to have a relative change or that step towards that change? If Chiroma now becomes president, will Ambazonians reject him? Or would they look for a means to work with him to have the Ambazonia they want? Those are the questions that I have in my mind, and which I think you can answer, because the way you sound to me is as if Chiroma is bad, let's not have Chiroma, but Bia is worse. Let's
Lillian,
keep Bia. That's how
Lillian,
it comes across to me.
don't you think that perhaps Kennedy is coming from that viewpoint that when you listen to what Chiroma says about the situation in the southern Cameroons, like he's also like in that posture of giving. I will give, or there he says no. We will discuss the form of the state. We'll talk about federalism. He's not even clear. I mean, for those who are
Of
federalists,
course, he's
he
a
doesn't even say
liar.
that we'll
He's
go back to
lying
the
to get
two-state federalism. His
votes.
statements are totally ambiguous, and then also the notion that that thing doesn't depend on him because it depends on Paris. Don't you think perhaps that's where Kennedy is coming from?
The question that I ask now is true. Chiroma is a liar. He's been lying. We know his lies. My
Kennedy,
question is, what are
what do you
we
want?
doing to change that narrative, to hold them accountable, to be sure that post yesterday, post today, post the declaration of results, we have what we
What do
want?
you
What
want?
are we doing towards what we want? Those are my
But,
questions. We must
Lillian,
be
Professor,
thinking and
Yes,
doing
Benjamin.
something.
yeah,
what do you want?
let me come in here. It seems to me that a
No.
lot of us don't
If I'm not
actually know
hearing you,
who.
no, even just go. No to whatever you wanted to ask because I'm not hearing you.
Oh,
Kennedy,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
it seems you're not talking
I'm
to us.
sorry.
Yes, Benjamin, continue.
Oh, that's good. So a lot of us seems not to know exactly who Chiroma is. We just call him a devil, a liar, and whatever. I followed Chiroma since the 90s. And I very much understand who Chiroma is. Before Chiroma even left and joined the government, he made a statement. He said, "I'm growing old, and time is going. Since the opposition has refused to unite and fight and go get
You should
something
better eat
so that
before
we
dying.
can, yeah, so that I need to eat something. I need to be fine before I die. So I need to go where I can, have something for myself." That's just being honest. He's just being honest, and he went. And when he got there, he said he's going to, play the drums for Mr. Bia, since he's the one, feeding him and giving him everything. He will do all. He's a good servant. He will serve his master well, and he did it, not lying. He's come back now and has told us why he went and joined the system and why he is coming out. Because his reason is this: Bia no longer controls the government. Bia is old and dotard. He doesn't know where he is, and he Chiroma, cannot keep on serving someone he's not seen for almost 7 years. So we shouldn't like just throw Chiroma to the dogs. He is, to an extent, honest.
Let me just chime in here a little bit, JMA. Not
Yes,
that we're on this topic.
Alain.
So I want to go back to where we talked about this idea of Southern Cameroonians voting or not voting. Um, I think I would also agree with Benjamin to some extent. Personally, I would have felt like, you know what, if they had to go vote, I would have been fine. Because, again, the whole notion of voting was held on the fact that we don't belong to that country, and therefore, why should we even participate in the election, in the electoral process? But the truth be told is that there is still an umbilical cord between Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon. And if there were Southern Cameroonians who felt the need to go and express their votes, they should have been given the opportunity to do so. That's just my personal feel about it. Since we all agree that votes don't mean anything, right? If the votes don't mean anything, then why withhold or why prevent certain Southern Cameroonians from voting? If we all agree that the votes don't mean anything, and we all agree that the votes will be tailored or whatever, or doctored, then why lock down the territory for a month to prevent that from happening? But I will go back again to my script. That's just me, my personal thing. If Southern Cameroonians voted for whoever, right, at the end of the day, we're going to end up on this table to discuss. Now, if Southern Cameroonians do not or did not participate or did not vote, at the end of the day, we shall again end up at this table. Because the person who will be at this table at the presidency, with or without Southern Cameroonian vote, will be determined. There will be a president at this table who represents La Republic Cameroon. There will be somebody there. It just so happens to be that in this particular case, it's Tchiroma. Whether or not we trust, it could have been what's the other guy we just spoke about? Exactly. It can be even our own. Let me to make the argument conducive. Joshua Osei, right? Let's say it was Joshua Osei who was now the president of or the president elect. Because we're saying Chiroma, 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 Chiroma. And we're saying that, okay, Chuma is a liar. I can bet you that if Joshua Osei was also elected as president of Cameroon right now in this particular chair, there will be still some people who will come out and say Joshua Osei is also a liar and present. If you look at all the 11 candidates, right? If you look at all the 11 candidates who were trying to become president, I believe not one of them does not have certain amount of baggage or reasons why they should not be president. And I'm saying this because, again, let me go to, let's say, the United States of America, which has one of the best democratic systems that we believe right now, right? How do you account for the fact that a few years ago you had Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in a well divisive system, right? You had those two options as the only options. So when somebody said that, oh, it can only be Chiloma or Paul Biya, and you ask yourself that, okay, are you telling me that in America, out of about 2 million people who qualified to be president of the United States, the best product was Hillary Clinton and Trump? This is a country which has mastered democracy, and so Cameroon is still years behind. Let's not blame. No, any person who could have been put in that chair right now as president elect would have baggage. If you look at all those 11, the question you have to ask yourself is: of all those 11 people, who has the minimum amount of baggage? And that's a discussion for a different day. That's a discussion for a different day. Right now, we have the baggage of Tchiroma, which we can all agree that Chiroma's baggage is less than Paul Bia's baggage. And if that is the case, therefore, the reverse is also true. It also means that as Southern Cameroonians, there's a little bit more leverage we have with Chiroma versus phobia. Now, I go back to my table, and this is where I agree to some extent with the fact that we should not participate in those votes. Because if we do not participate in the votes, it means that we come to this table with slightly more weight in negotiations than if we participate. And if you look at all what's going on social media, I think people have already explained that. The fact that we participate in the vote, when we come to this table, we don't have as much ammunition or as much weight in discussions versus if we did not participate in the election and we came to that particular table. So for me, this is where there's a difference in yes, should we participate in the election or no? And I would say that those who said no, we should not participate, the only upper hand that that gives us is that it gives us more discussion. Because whether we like it or not, we shall come to this table to discuss. There is no way to have a referendum in that country called Southern Cameroon without the participation of La Republic of Cameroon, which has to be discussed in this table. Now, we all know that even if we're talking to Joshua here, Joshua Osei here, some Southern Cameroonians, or let's say for the sake of La Republic, some Anglophones believe that because you put an Anglophone here, therefore things will automatically go your particular way. That is so far from the truth. So far from the truth. Because as JMA you mentioned, there are foreign influences that are coming in here. You just mentioned one of them here, France. Okay, you have other foreign elements that come in here to determine certain things. But based on what Comrade Lillian had just mentioned, what we cannot just fold our arms and do nothing. So the nothing option, which is what has been lingering right now for a while, has been on the table for a while. This we all agree that we cannot do. We cannot do this. We can either do this or we can do this. Majority Southern Cameroonians chose to do this. A few Southern Cameroonians chose to do this because of their ideology. Bottom line is, regardless of the path we chose, we are going to end here. The discussion now becomes, who are we going to have an easier time with? If you're calling these 11 people devils, which devil get his small, which devil the horn small past the other devil the horn? That we can figure out that when we come to this table to discuss, things shall fall or go in the favor of Southern Cameroons with minimal effort. When I say minimal effort, I mean minimal bloodshed. I mean minimal cost. I mean minimal, yes, minimal effort, human effort. And once you start to get engaged in that particular kind of discussion, you now see that there is indeed the captain of a ship, which is putting us in a particular direction that we can now see a future for Southern Cameroon and
Okay.
possibly a future also for La Republique. Remember that as Southern Cameroonians who have been in this thing for 7 to 8 years or 9, that means that Southern Cameroonians have an advantage over La Republique Cameroon citizens because we have already been there, done that, seen it happen, and had time to prepare for such a thing. JMA, you mentioned something about an outbreak in that country. That doesn't really bother Southern Cameroonians because yes, we do have members of our family who are there. I don't dismiss that, right? In both parts of the Cameroon. But as a people, as a region of Southern Cameroon, because of what we've gone through for 8 years, has already been prepared enough for this particular kind of scenario. The question now becomes, our brothers and sisters across the Congo, are they prepared?
So, Alem, let me put this to you quickly. When you look at the situation of across the Mongo, everything leaves you to understand that it seems absolutely inevitable that we are heading towards, civil war. And in the event where there is a civil war, does that complicate the situation further for Southern Cameroons?
There are two ways to see this, right? Again, back to my drawing board. Even if there's a civil war in in La Republic Cameroon, at some point that war has to end in negotiations, right? So the thing is, and people ask this question: why must people? If everything is going to end on the table, why can't we avoid the death? Why can't we just go straight to the table? People are just stubborn. I think that when you get into politics and you have money and power, somehow you feel like you are untouchable. The members of the Cameroon government right now who are doing what they're doing to try to delay the inevitable are doing so because of that money and power. But the ultimate power is in the hands of the people. And we've seen this happen in many, many other countries. I think Cameroon's situation is that Cameroon's is a little bit more complex, especially when you have two Cameroons, when you have Southern Cameroons and you have like Republic Cameroon in one particular issue. If there is a civil war in the Republic of Cameroon, does that impact Southern Cameroonians? Yes, it does. It doesn't impact us to a great degree, don't get me wrong, but there is an impact. Now, as a Southern Cameroonian, I think that one of the advantages that would help, or let me say, um, assist Southern Cameroonians is that Cameroon cannot, there are very few countries that can fight a war on two fronts, very, very few. And Cameroon is not one of them. If there is a civil war in the Republic of Cameroon, it means that troops will have to be pulled out of southern Cameroons to go and defend and fight in their territory. I think that's the only quote unquote advantage I would see of that because then it gives us time to get
Yeah, thank
and
you,
to
Adam. Lillian,
I
is civil war
yeah.
inevitable? Is civil war evitable, or how do you look at it? Can they run away from it right
I
now?
I don't want to look at it whether it's evitable or inevitable. I want to look at if in the event there is a civil war, how does it impact the southern Cameroonians? I think the impact is great in the sense that if you look at it very carefully, we've not been an important variable when it comes to the people. We are only an important variable when it comes to the geography and the resources. So if there's a civil war in Cameroon, I want to put it general, it will impact mostly the Francophone regions and we will be ignored and neglected, including our problems,
And would
which
that
means
be
that
to our advantage?
no one is going to come to think of the southern Cameroon's problem. They'll be thinking of the Cameroon problem, which will eventually delay the problem of the southern Cameroonians. On the other hand, people will argue that, okay, pulling out forces from the southern Cameroons will be an advantage. But what advantage? How do you consolidate that pulling out of forces to declare to become an independent state, which is something that the Southern Cameroonians have been grappling with, given that becoming independent also requires multiple kinds of resources from diplomatic to financial to military and otherwise.
That's
How
true too.
are the Anglophones, are the Southern Cameroonians ready for such an eventuality that there is a war in La République to then galvanize their own forces and force an independence militarily, or if it's
Well,
diplomatic, then they have a problem.
I guess, Lillian, perhaps you are not taking into consideration the fact that soldiers, I mean, gendarmes, police, and all of those who are of southern Cameroon's extraction, when they suddenly find that the fight that, I mean, has broken out involves the Bulu Ekambeti wanting to create their separate state because they have everything in place to create their separate state, and that the people from the northern regions find that this looks like I mean like we are likely to have our own state. The north, the Adamawa and the far north. After all, they have also found oil in their subsoil, and then you just have the people from the littoral and those from the west. I mean, who find themselves suddenly on their own. The people of the southern Cameroons will not be shy to think like those of Somaliland. After all, it might have taken the time that it's taking, but Somaliland is coming into being. Benjamin, how do you look at that?
Yeah, the
Before
first
he says, I just have a question. Maybe Benjamin will answer.
Okay,
Are we ready? Have we planned for that?
that is a good question.
that is a
The first
question
thing,
that is a question that nobody is ever going to answer to you here for you to provide your answer here. The answer they will give you could be that by the time you get to that bridge, you will learn how to cross it. Or Benjamin, perhaps you have a
yeah,
better
that's,
answer.
Yeah, me.
I see Kennedy shaking his head. Yeah,
that is
Benjamin.
a good question because, first of all, the divisiveness among Anglophones is in such a way that there might be a civil war in French Cameroon. They will fight the civil war, get over it, come back, and still,
Meet us where
fight
we left off.
and yes and beat us. We'll be fighting ourselves. We'll be killing ourselves, or trying to fix things that are unfixable. Trying to be leaders that don't even exist because every anglophone wakes up in the morning and just feels that he can become the leader of Southern Cameroon or whatever. Everybody seems to be a president and things like that. So I think we are not actually very ready just because of greed, just because of what they call oversabi kind of stuff. That said, I want to say that civil war in La Republic is evitable very easily. People are eager for change. They are ready to, Chiroma is there because, as all of us agree, because people are eager for change, no? That's true. What about we wake up one day and Gongo becomes the president? Is that a change? Will people accept? They, don't be surprised that someone like Ngongo becomes president tomorrow. You see people on the streets jubilating and shouting that there's a change in Cameroon and they're happy and there will be peace. That's what I
Well,
think.
it happened in Gabon.
In Gabon, yeah.
It
Okay.
happened in Gabon. Kennedy.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably Atanganji is going to be the next big savior of Cameroon if we continue with this, if we continue in this mentality. I mean, in all fairness and in all seriousness, Atanganji is going to be the next big savior of Cameroon because the signal that we are sending, and that's where I stand on this moral ground. I don't want to send mixed signal to dictators, to tyrants and their puppets, that you can just turn around, you can do all what you can do, and then turn around, and then you become my solution. With some of us, it doesn't work. And that does not translate to doing nothing, as Lillian said. Because I mean, when you are at the forefront, they can't say you're doing nothing. It will bring us back to the fact that people who are back in Cameroon will tell the people in the diaspora that they're doing nothing. That the only way they can acknowledge that you're doing something is for you to come down in Bamenda, Goya, or whatever, have the boots on the ground. Everybody's trying to define something based on their perspective. But I know that we are all doing what we can do to support our ideas. Having a civil war in Cameroon because of this presidential election, it's something that's not going to happen. It cannot happen. Because let's not forget, there is someone who is pulling the string behind the scenes in Cameroon. All these people that you see, they are puppets. The puppeteer is France. Let no mistake be made about that. That is why, at the very beginning of this cycle, one of the first people that Tchiroma visited is the French ambassador. And that was made public, the image of them being together. For the theatrics of it, it was made. That's campaign. That is subliminal way of saying, of sending that signal that I am with the master. So, what we should do at this stage when we're talking about this presidential election, it's going to be one more unfortunate situation where we don't have that voice or we don't have that power to will it to the direction that we would have wanted, which no one can argue, because even those who are supporting Tchiroma, and it's the worst kind of support that I can ever see in this world. You support, you say somebody is a devil and you support him. I mean,
A good devil.
I mean,
A good
yes,
devil.
there's no good devil. There is no good devil. No good devil. The devil is a devil. And yet, we are dealing with somebody, not that we don't know.
Kennedy,
Tchiroma in
wrap up in
2004.
15 seconds so we can move to the final segment.
Yeah, let me
No,
round up. Thank you. In
Comrade,
2004,
Comrade Kennedy,
Tchiroma
just
said the same type of things that he's saying today. And then turned around in 2008, campaigned very hard for the modification of the constitution that made Paul Biya a king in perpetuity in Cameroon. And then he joined the government in 2019. He characterized Paul Biya as the son, the God. I mean, even the guy of Mobutu, John, you make his name, whoever, he wasn't that much of a propagandist as Tchiroma was. So the signal that we are sending to our people, we would, all of us here, would have to answer back as we are asking our parents who went to
Kennedy,
Fumba. Yes, let me.
Kennedy,
10
Kennedy, I'd like to
seconds.
tell you this.
10
I'd like to
seconds.
tell you this so you can use it in your concluding remarks on this particular issue. I'd like you to put it in your mind that, I mean, any sensible person will observe that for somebody of Issa Tchiroma's caliber, for somebody of Issa Tchiroma's character, to have left the government on the 25th of June to join the opposition, and by the 25th of August, he is the opposition strongman. He's the one, the most popular, the messiah for the opposition. This simply shows you the issue is not even with Tchiroma. The issue is the system that has failed. The issue is that the people themselves, I mean, people have all lost because the kind of cult that have been developed in Cameroon, especially east of the Mongo, is such that has left people to believe that Biya is a demigod, because they have transformed people to levels where people cannot even think of aspiring. When they look at themselves, they feel themselves extremely inferior. Who are the people who are on the ground right now as we speak, modifying vote, changing, voters' return sheets, doing all of those things? They are the same people who don't have good roads to move on. They are the same people who don't even have jobs. They are the same people who, at the end of this particular process, will come complain that they have not paid their pensions. They are the same people. So I look at it more as a systemic failure, because it beats everyone's any sensible person's imagination that a Tchiroma, a celebrated liar, who should even have lied more than Titus Oates in British history, will find himself leaving the government that he was defending all his life, and within a period of 2 months, he is the hope of the country.
Okay.
How do you explain
Jamie,
that?
Jamie,
I
I
mean
have a
that
question, right? I have a quick question, right? Because we say system, system, system. Let me say this, and let's get down to the bottom of this matter. What prevented the best Cameroonians or the best Francophone Cameroonian people from running for president? Because we say the system, the system, the system. Who makes the system? Is people, right? Is this? It's not some god somewhere or something that's coming down and saying this is what your system is going to be and you're going to stick to it. No. Even in America here, the constitutions and all they get changed, they get modified. When they came out with 11 people to run for the presidency of like really Cameroon, what prevented qualified candidates in the eyes of people who say that Chiroma is this or that? Okay, why are there those 11 candidates there? Why could we not find Cameroonians who are, in the eyes of Cameroonians, qualified to run for the president of Cameroon? Fill those 11 spaces. What in the system prevented those good Cameroonians from occupying those spaces to the point where we're left with quote unquote crooks and devils? What is it in this that has to be changed? Because that's what I don't understand at this point. Because when people are saying that, oh, I want to be president, even some of us in the diaspora, those who are in the diaspora who are Cameroonians and have Cameroonian passports, were still legible. So how comes that those people, quote unquote, sat back, took a back burn, and allowed people who are less of devils, if you want to use that like right word, like we're saying, or people who don't have the qualifications to become president, 11 of them, well, counting the current one, 12.
I
What
once
is
told
it that
Lillian
allowed
Allen
those
to
12?
chime into
No,
what you are
it's a
saying.
direct question.
Allen,
Because
not trying to cut it. I once told Lillian that I guess about 90% of the people of Cameroon are suffering from low self-esteem. Lillian, do you recall? And do you
Yes, I do.
think it did in that direction still?
There's a mindset issue. There is this group, they call themselves Project C, who have as mission to see a change in governance. And that change in governance is anyone but beer. You know, I said at the beginning of this program today, and I still say it,
Anyone
that
but beer.
yes, I said at the beginning of this program today, and I'm still saying it, that whoever voted for Chiroma, I've asked a number of people, who did you vote for? Chiroma. They hate Chiroma. They don't like him. They don't even want him. But anyone but Bia. Chiroma did not campaign. He did not appeal to these people. They simply voted a candidate other than Bia. So to say that Cameroonians are stupid, yes, they are not bold, but then it also takes what they call capital, political capital. You will agree that even those of us sitting here have a lot of courage to even come and voice our opinions. It takes that courage. It starts from somewhere. If you don't grow up with that capital, then you don't have that capital to start calling yourself a politician. You, Akuro, has a lot of followership. You are not vying to be president. Why are you not vying to be president? You
Who
don't
tells
have
you
that
that I'm not
political
right?
capital.
Who tells you
You
that I don't
know,
have that ambition? Perhaps not in La République du Cameroun, foreign country like this.
exactly. Well, you haven't yet declared yourself president of Ambazonia like the other ones.
no, Lillian, you make a very good point there. You make a very good point about the idea of
Well,
voice. I think that that's something that we need
gentlemen
to.
and lady, we will be moving to the last segment of this slot. In fact, I'm really delighted that we were able to set aside time for this. But let's look at this short footage. This footage will inform us and I guess even our audience exactly why anyone sitting there and thinking that they can really ever be any form of change through the ballot box in La République du Cameroun, they should be dreamers. Take a watch.
Mes chers frères et sœurs, bonsoir. Nous avons tout à l'heure, après le dépouillement, les décomptes du vote, eu une idée, une pensée. Nous avons compris que c'est comme ça que l'ECAM fait chaque année pour truquer les élections municipales et législatives au Cameroun. Voici le problème. Nous, les scrutateurs des partis de l'opposition, nous mettons nos noms et nos observations à la première. Voici, excusez-moi, voici le procès verbal. Voilà le procès verbal. Nous, les observateurs, nous mettons nos noms à la première page et à la dernière page. Ce qui veut dire que la page, le cœur du procès verbal, le cœur du procès verbal qui contient les éléments clés de l'élection présidentielle, que ce soit en Afrique, en Europe, en Amérique, en Asie, en Océanie. Au milieu, c'est là où la magie s'opère. Donc, Dieu nous a fait à ce que un de nous se rende compte que sur les deux pages du milieu, il n'y a pas de signature d'un des scrutateurs. Ce qui fait que, approche le téléphone, là où, par exemple ici, Issa Tchiroma Bakari a gagné avec 48,75%. Si eux, les gens de l'ECAM, ils enlèvent cette page-ci, parce que c'est ça qui est très important. S'ils enlèvent la page-ci, ils jettent, ils doublent, ils jettent et ils créent une autre page parce qu'ils en ont cette photocopie des milliers et des milliers. Ils peuvent conserver là où nos noms sont écrits et là où nous avons signé, qui sont les deux premières pages. Si, ils peuvent enlever ça, ils conservent ça. Et ce qui est au milieu-ci, ils enlèvent ça, ils jettent et ils remplissent ça et ils mettent les noms qu'ils veulent, les pourcentages qu'ils veulent, les gains qu'ils veulent. Je ne sais pas si vous, mes frères et sœurs, de par le monde entier, vous écoutez ce que j'ai à vous dire. Parce que nous avons débattu de ça, nous avons compris que l'ECAM, depuis des années, nous roule dans la farine. Et nous ne devons plus nous laisser faire. Donc, mes chers frères et sœurs, voilà l'élément central du procès verbal. Et cet élément central, il n'y a aucune signature posée dessus. Aucune signature d'aucun scrutateur. Tout ce jour-là, faisons quelque chose pour le Cameroun. Ça va.
Now, we have all looked at that.
Wow.
You take a careful look at that short video. I think it speaks more than enough to anyone exactly what has been happening. Because to make a quick summary for our audience, what this lady is saying in that video is that you see those are the return sheets from the polling stations. And that return sheet from the polling station has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. Now, the middle page is removable. And this thing has a pin in the middle. And then where they put their names is the front page. The names of all the polling agents on the front page. And where they sign is on the back page. But the middle pages, where nobody touches anything, which are simply independent of the other pages and can even be replaced with another one, nobody takes care, that is where the data of the voting at the polling station is put in. And so therefore, when these things get back to the ELECAM or to the divisional office, they now sit back and they simply remove the sheet in the middle. They replace it with a new sheet with data that has got nothing to do with what happened at the polling station, and they clip it back together. And these are all authentic because when you look at them, the names of the polling agents are on the front page, their names are at the back page with their signatures. That's exactly what she's explaining. And if this is the approach, how on earth do you think that you can ever have an election that replaces that translates the will of the people. Let's begin with you, Kennedy.
Yes, and that's what brings us back to the system. So those are one of the elements of the system that when we talk about systemic change, it's all about the processes that are involved in the system. And this that will be a topic probably for another day where we can take each of the processes, analyze them, and we would see the points of failure. Now, no, don't get me wrong, because there's no human system that is perfect. All is perfectible. But just as what we saw, at this time and age, it shouldn't be a problem. With an electoral system where from the base, it's computerized already because it's biometrics. Maybe many people don't know that. That since I think that's about 2000 or 2006, the registration process is computerized. It goes with biometrics. So when we see all of this, it shies away the best from amongst us to take that giant leap to say, okay, I want to go in there. I mean, I would take, for instance, we had 11 candidates we're all talking about. There was one, Akeremuna. With all what people may say about Akeremuna, but on paper, that guy had the best pedigree in terms of what he has done. Transparency International has fought against corruption, has fought against some of the things that are plaguing us at an institutional level. But his candidacy could not take off the ground because he did not have the resources, he did not have the instruments that are required. Somebody will tell me that, oh, in
And of course, he
2018,
is from Southern Cameroon. Point that out.
and again, he's an Anglophone. Because you are very right. If this guy was not an Anglophone, because when you see they talk about Akere, they talk about everything other than his international experience. That type of experience that Akere has, if a Francophone had it, that is what they would have been talking about. That international experience that Akere
Let's be
has.
brief since we are wrapping up. Kennedy,
Yeah.
conclude.
Yeah, so in my conclusion, we have to regroup. Cameroon is not going to change with this election that is coming, be it Paul Biya, be it Issa Tchiroma, as the trend is, because we may wake up tomorrow and it's actually, oh, there's a third option. It could be a coup d'etat. Three things can happen right now: Paul Biya, Tchiroma, or coup d'etat. Any one of these three things where we stand, unfortunately, does not guarantee to us any place on the table as it should be, which means that we should be having war room discussions. When I mean war room, I mean it from a more prosaic way, not war with guns and things, but we should be having that
Thank you,
war room
Kennedy.
discussion
Benjamin?
that how we tooling ourselves.
Yeah, I think what that lady just demonstrated, is proof that to have free and fair, honest elections in Cameroon is, is like going through the eye of an elephant going through the eye of a needle. So, but that said, I would like to say that, let me just digress a little bit. Chiruma came into this election and became a hero because of his utterances. We have Kabralibi. He's been there. He's young. He's been talking, moving around his francophone. We had many others who are francophones who were there moving and doing things, but people didn't give them their trust simply because they didn't, say what people wanted to hear. Chiruma told people that he has been in the system. He knows what is in there. He's come out of it and he's ready to be different. And that's what people bought, rather than those who were selling, potatoes, maybe the rotten ones under the basket and the good ones, on top of the basket. Chiroma, Chiroma actually told people how he even became a minister. What happened? Who
Yes,
called him? What happened before he became a minister? The mago in it and everything. And people said, okay, if you can speak like this, if you
yes,
can tell the
Benjamin,
truth
thank
like this,
you.
we better go for
We
you.
we are wrapping up. I see Alem looking for paper to do new drawings. Lillian,
Looking for a
let's
for
keep
a
pushing.
sharpie.
Lillian,
Okay. In the Anglophones have had a problem since the 1960s, and Bernard Fonlon had raised this issue a long time ago. When Nijon Fundi came up in 1992, he tried, he did not become a president. But we do recognize that there was tremendous change in Cameroon because of the multipartism that Nijon Fundi engineered and which happened. I personally do not think that Tchiroma will win the elections or will be declared the winner of the elections. He has won, but I don't think he will be declared the winner of the elections. However, I think that what has happened this year is going to drastically affect the politics of Cameroon because I think it's something that the government of Cameroon was not ready for. If they had been rigging with 100 billion CFA, they probably needed 300 billion CFA to rig this time around because they had to have a run for their money. I think that the politics of Cameroon is going to change irrespective of the outcome of these elections. Thank you.
yes, Benjamin. No, I guess we were moving actually from you to Alem, and so Comrade Alem,
Yes,
I know you have finished looking at the papers, and so bring it
no,
on.
I'm laughing. Kennedy made me laugh because, see, I think he nailed the whole thing. Oh, I did not even know that there was some level of digitization that has already gone into the electoral process. And then the question now becomes, why did they stop there, right? It's the same reason why they stopped short of digitizing the toll booths in Cameroon because they wanted to do whatever they want to do. Again, I don't have to make, I don't want to speak without facts. But I don't know why somebody will be standing at the toll booth giving out 500 francs tickets and everything else. Again, all these things have room for error. But let me go back to the electoral process. Um, if they are still going to be determining this thing by paper and pen, then let's do the right thing. What we just saw in the video here, the lady showed the paper, of course, and it's a very good point. The fact that you have a signature on the front and the back, the middle can be tampered with. Why is it that if they want to stick to the old way of doing things, before these papers get bundled up and sent all the way to Elekam by road, it goes to Babenda, all the roads, some of them get lost, we don't care what happens, right? The fact is that we want to make sure that whatever left this house gets here. There needs to be a certification process whereby before it gets on the truck or bus or whatever to get to this direction, certified copies are kept here. JMA, all of you on this panel, if you want to go back now, for example, looking for your birth certificate, let's say you were to misplace your original birth certificate, right? You have a way to go back to the hospital that you were born or that particular environment and get a certified copy of that birth certificate, right?
They call
So
it
in the
stamp.
same token,
You know
you
how
can also go back if the numbers and stuff here have been altered. There should be a way to go back and get certified copies of the documents that were left here before they even got to Elekam, such that when the results are announced and people, this is where the process is broken. People need to have access into here for verification. It's like the GCE board, for example. When they announce the GCE results and this and that, there is a way to go back and say, "Wait a minute, somebody can say, but my daughter failed. How did she fail? That's not possible. Something happened." There's a way to go back and to verify and say, "Oh yeah, maybe there was a mistake, a paper was not counted correctly, or something happened." If you are telling me that right now, based on the video we just watched, that these people bundle everything up, send it over to Elatam, and there's nothing left here in terms of evidence as to where the data was originally collected, such that if there's a mistake here, it can be verified, then there's a big issue right there. it means that that system was designed for rigging. It means that the system was designed such that when numbers are tampered with here, there's no way to verify it. If the numbers are announced and they correspond with the people's votes, okay, it should go through. But if the election results are announced, and it does not correspond with the vote and somebody has an issue with it, that somebody, meaning the people of Cameroon, should have a method or a way to go back here and say, okay, show us why you came to this result. Let us verify that with what was certified from the various voting booths. So if we want to stay with this mechanical paper pushing process, then it needs to be done in a clean way from beginning to end. Now, there are many who are saying that this has to now be computerized. See, there are still ways to tamper with computers, right? But again, these are methods that are designed by human beings. So there's always a way to break it. But the problem should be that it should be more and more difficult to break it. Just as now with passports, if you see in the United States of America, the passports have gotten a little bit more complicated than before. In the 70s and 80s, people were making copies, sending passports home. Now, you can't do that. They've gone to fingerprinting. People have tried to duplicate the fingerprinting. Guess what? They're now gone to the eyes. Where you can see. So the fact is that there's progress and there's growth in trying to make the system
But Alem,
less.
you are talking about a situation, about a scenario where the government or the people are concerned that they want the system to work. You are looking here at a situation where the people are doing everything to make sure the system stays the way it is, and each time they say we need improvement, they first of all look at the technical sophistication that allows them to make sure the system stays what it is. So here you are facing a system where the will to even see that change happen does not exist. So
No,
I really don't
Jeremy,
want us to
no,
just
Jeremy,
quickly let's
let me
look at our last
just
video
chat
and
in
then
one
we
before I
part
go.
ways.
I'm going to call on this. Like, listen. When you talk about the people here who sit in this box to make this system a riggable system, for lack of a better number, let me just put it at 25 people, right? There are 25 people, as powerful as they may be, that sit in here. The people of Cameroon here, who are the masses, are 36 million people. There needs to be a way that these 36 million people can offset the ideas and the ways and the mindset. Forget about the mindset, that's already dinosaur stuff. But the ways and the outcome of this, these 36 million people have the power. All they need is the process to be able to go in here and make these people accountable. That's the answer. How do these people make these people accountable? That is, I think I'm going to end on that. How do these people, again, the people
Well,
of the country, people of the land, make these people accountable? And if it means going on the street, as my comrade said here, as the last resort, again, I'm not one for violence, but as a last resort, if it means that people have to hit the street as a last resort, then unfortunately, you see, in African countries, a lot of people were brought up with the whip, the cane, and it works.
okay, thank you very much, Alem. We'll look at our last video and then we make our last statements and we part ways. And I mean, it's been a very rich discussion. It's been a very interesting conversation. I honestly want to doff my hat to you all for the time that you put in this so much time. Let's watch this last video and we go.
Priorité au direct. Monsieur le commissaire Albert Lepole-Bénet, vous nous revenez fraîchement avec des résultats qui tombent.
Oui, monsieur Moda. Issa Tchiroma vient d'être élu président de la République du Cameroun. C'est le 3e président.
Vous avez les chiffres, on peut les savoir?
Et effectivement, monsieur Moda, j'ai 2 chiffres. Parce qu'il faut le préciser, nous avons décidé de dire aux Camerounais la vérité. Toute la vérité et rien que la vérité. Les chiffres que nous avons sont à la fois des chiffres des renseignements généraux qui sont les policiers qui renseignent le président Paul Biya.
Ça on le sait, commissaire.
Et maintenant, les résultats que nous avons compilés de nos émissaires sur le terrain. Alors, sur les résultats des renseignements généraux, la fiche que Biya a eue ce soir pour les résultats, le vainqueur est Issa Tchiroma avec 62%. Et Paul Biya avec 33%. Et maintenant, les résultats que nous avons eus de nos émissaires sur le terrain, qui ont travaillé avec des motos, il faut louer là la bravoure des mototaximans qui se sont mis au service de la République. Ces résultats donnent vainqueur Issa Tchiroma à 72% et à Paul Biya à 17,30%. Bon, nous comprenons, M. Moda, que les policiers qui sont sous l'autorité du président de la République ont voulu un peu ménager le président.
Monsieur Kalibi Kalebo, le président de la République, aujourd'hui, c'est Issa Tchiroma, élu avec 72%. Quel est votre sentiment?
Ben, mon sentiment, c'est que je suis déjà très...
Okay, I just want us to stop there and, we'll look at that very quickly. I mean, to the benefit of those in our audience who do not understand French, Albert Ebene is a former director of the judicial police like in Cameroon, former director of the judicial police. So this shows you it's not any kind of Tom, Dick, or Harry. Now, when he tells you that these are the results that landed at the presidency from security sources, because security sources will always send the real thing, what they consider to be the real thing, so that you know this is exactly what transpired, so that when they play all of these games, the president is not stupid, or whoever is not stupid to know that the whole thing had to be rigged for me to win. So he says, according to the sheets, the final report, security report sent to Paul Biya, 62% of those who voted Issa Tchiroma, and Biya ended with 38%. And then he says that, okay, they had other people who went to the field. I'm not interested in that other people who went to the field. So this brings us to that notion, because I heard Atanga Ponji saying in one video in response to a CRTV journalist, if you recognize Paul Biya's defeat and the victory of someone in the opposition. And he said, Paul Biya has always made sure that there should never be any cheating because he doesn't like cheating. And then when you hear this makes clear, and this is one of those things that should actually revolt people. We will take, our reactions to this will definitely be like in guise of towards our last statements on the program. With this before our eyes, before everybody's eyes, with this kind of information out from someone like Ebene, who, was at the heart of the security apparatus of the country, especially with what you will call the special branch, meaning those people who collect information like the intelligence services. What do you say to this? Let's begin with you, Kennedy, and let's be brief.
Well, the only breaking news that there is that officially Tchiroma has claimed his victory. And that's what people were waiting for. He just released the video not too long ago. But when it comes to what this guy just said there, I cannot comment it because I know everybody knows that, okay, somebody's saying that they got the results in Cameroon. We know the enclavement in Cameroon. Again, I just don't like dishonesty. You see that guy with all the flamboyance, the type of way he lies there, it freaks me to see adults lie like that. But the result, Tchiroma has claimed the result. It's good. Let's see what next.
So are you saying that Ebene is lying?
He's lying.
Okay. What makes you feel he's lying? Very quickly.
Because in Cameroon, you cannot, within this short space of time now, have recouped all the results when we know the level of enclavement of Cameroon. So that thing I saw, it was yesterday. Actually, that is video, because I saw the date there was 12. So the election held on the 12th, which was yesterday. And then he's making that video on that TV show see where he's saying. He's saying that he got his results from motor taxi men.
No,
That's
no,
how
no.
they
That
compiled
is
it.
that is the second part of the result. The first part
Yeah,
of
no,
the result was from security sources. Anyway, you made
no, but let me no.
you made
You
your
say that
point.
one. Don't go with it. The security sources own. Now, all of us who know Ebele, you can go and read the kind of things that Ebele has written that makes no sense. This is a guy who said that they convened 500 million francs CFA and gave to John Frundi. That two of them carried 500 million francs and gave to John Frundi. So that's the guy we're talking about. So when we're
What?
talking about,
But no. But wait a minute, Kennedy. What makes you think that he's lying at that point? I'm not accusing Fundi of blessed
okay,
memory. I mean, he was a very great man. But what I
but
want to say
yes,
is, no. Listen, when it comes to manipulating physical cash, that one is changed. You have heard of situations where they have stolen billions from
okay, no,
individuals' houses. The
let me
the
tell
the
you.
the director of civil cabinet recently said, I mean, they stole billions. I covered a story at Andre Mamafuda's house where he said they came to his house and stole in cash 650 million. So I wouldn't really doubt it on those kind of basis. But that is a story for another day. Alem,
No, I've carried money. You cannot, I've carried 20 million.
and you carried all the
You
what
cannot
master
carry
20 million. You
500
said when
million.
they're
Two
talking money,
people
we only
cannot
said
carry
go and be
500
talking 20
million.
million. Make sure you bring it and let's share.
No, no, I've
Alem.
carried 20 million. So
Yeah,
when
Alem,
they talk
please,
about
Alem,
each
Alem.
500 million, two people cannot carry 500 million.
Alem, please, can you take over?
See,
Alem, your reaction? So
this
apparently Alem is not hearing me. Lillian,
Alem is there.
I'm
but
here.
apparently he's not hearing. So
I'm
you
No,
hearing
can
you.
you
you
can
I
don't
hear
just
hear.
you. You can hear me.
yes.
I'm here. I can hear you. I hear
Okay,
you.
yes, talk. I was giving you the speech.
Oh no, no, I was listening, but then you guys were going back and forth. So I wanted to give you guys the space. So carry me the see. I don't want to tie. I want to take what he said, right, and expose again the problems in that country called Cameroon, right? If you had methods, transparent methods and accountable methods in the country, you will not be hearing some of these things, right? So it goes back again to point out the idea of the lack of transparency and lack of accountability. Whether or not you can carry 10 billion in a suitcase or not in a suitcase, the bottom line is, are there systems in place where even if somebody were to attempt to do that kind of thing, the person can be caught? I'm going back to that flogging. It may sound like it's a bad thing to say on national on TV, but until you get to the point where a minister who is caught embezzling funds is taken to a public square and given 72 strokes, that is that for some reason that is the only immediate cure right now for some of those problems. Because I want to believe that Cameroonians in general know right from wrong. I don't think they've forgotten. It's just that they are in a system that permits the wrong. You need to
Alem
just set
Titus
one
Oates.
or two.
Alem Titus Oates in British history was given 130 strokes, but after that he continued lying. People still lie until today.
No, so then in that case you up the strokes. There's a threshold. There's a threshold. Now, maybe if you give somebody 128 strokes, it might defer 10% of theft. It doesn't mean you solve the whole problem, but you now have to find a solution. It's like in the medical field, when you start to figure out what medicine to cure a particular problem, you start with a particular dose and a particular experiment, and you see
Alem,
how it
clear
works.
off in
You
15
adjust that
seconds.
dose accordingly, right? So for Titus Coates, 172 strokes was not good enough, but that was the beginning point of something. Maybe you got to put 400 strokes. Everybody has a number of strokes. Then the cane has to come down. But on a serious note, I don't want to believe that Cameroonians in general,
Yeah.
especially
So
those in power.
Lillian, how many strokes would you recommend though? Take over, Lillian.
Um, well, I wouldn't be going for strokes. But what I do know now, listening to the guy who just spoke and the rigging machinery, a battle is ensuing, and we need to choose. There are three people. They are the players, they are the spectators. We need to choose to sit and watch, and we need to choose to play. And if we choose to play, we need to choose whether we are playing with the Bia government or the Tchiroma, let me call it the opposition. What I do know is that the Bia government is working very hard, using whatever means they are going to use to win. But what I also know is that the Cameroonian citizens, a dedicated group of Cameroonian citizens, including even us who are sitting here, are doing everything to expose this mechanism, call it out, um, relate with other institutions to expose it and make it almost impossible for them to succeed in their fraud mechanisms. And I think that this is a moment for battle. I think this is a moment that every Cameroonian should choose to watch what they say and what they do. We must continue to call out any incidences of fraud recorded in any way. And Africa Techie, Project C, civil society organizations, even you, Akuro, we are doing enough or a lot. Let me not say enough. We are doing a lot to call out this fraud. For there to be change, there must be the change makers. We cannot sit and critique. We must continue calling out all of the fraud that is
And
happening.
Africa
Techie projects.
Okay. Thank you, Lillian. Benjamin, and we should be getting to the end of our slot. As Kennedy said, I've just received, the video where Issa Tchiroma Bakari is addressing the nation and in which he is claiming his victory from Garwa. La République du Cameroon was sending out some very strange information indicating that Issa Chiruma had escaped to Nigeria, and that So I was wondering how that could have happened. Perhaps giving the impression that he was fearful or what. So I just see the video is out. He has addressed the people of the Republic of Cameroon, and he has claimed his victory. We see what happens thereafter. That doesn't stop you from talking, Benjamin, and then we have 30 seconds each to say our last word on the program, and Lillian, then we get going. Benjamin?
And probably in 30 minutes, you should play that video for us to watch together because I may not have it before I go to sleep. Yeah.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, so, when I listen to that guy speak, for me, he sounds like he has an axe to grind with the system. I mean, a personal axe to grind with the system. He does not sound to me very much believable. But that said, I just want something that can inspire the people of La Republic to go out there and, put Bobia away, no matter who says it. And, we need any kind of devil to do whatever he can do to let Bia go because he's a greater devil than any other thing.
Well, I'm not a believer in devils. Now that you people all believe in devils, let's have our final say on this lot today. Those of the coin, let's begin with you, Alem. Your final word, your final submission on this lot before we go.
So
Alem, are you there?
I would want to. Yes, I'm here. Yes, sorry about that. So I think my final word is that at this
And
point,
it's only 30 seconds.
can you? But you just interrupted me now. So do I rewind my clock?
No, I'm afraid you could bring a sheet of paper again. Anyway, go ahead.
So listen, I think that there's a lesson here that's learned for all of us, especially for those of us who are from the southern Cameroons. We are looking for solutions to problems, and we have to be very, very vigilant, very, very observatory of what's going on in La République Cameroon, and we have to sort ways in which we can be able to bring our quest for independence and freedom to a quick ending. And I think that for us as Southern Cameroonians, we should pay very much attention to what is going on from that angle. Having said that, though, because right now the issue is the governance in Cameroon, and I think that the people of Cameroon have also realized that the issue is the governance, and they want to fix it. So somehow we be able to work out something or have a way where we can actually collaborate to be able to make sure that the voice of Cameroonians is actually what is heard, because it's only through that particular vehicle that the people can choose who they want to be their president, that will also be able to assist us to talk and dialogue with them, because we now have a leader in place who actually represents the people and not any foreign body.
Thank you very much, Alem. Kennedy?
Yes, I mean, it was a very healthy debate that we had, and this kind of civil society conversation is something that we need to promote. And again, Issa Chiroma, he has made a giant step. He has claimed victory. All what we are waiting for is a plan.
Thank you very much. So let's see where the people of La République du Cameroun go from here. Uh, Benjamin?
Just to say thank you to everybody, and I am hoping, and I think when you're hoping, you don't die again. You die because you don't have hope. Once there's hope, you live on. I pray our people of La République du Cameroun, our neighbors on the other side of the aisle, should take the bull by the horns and fight. Let them fight, because we've been doing it for the past, I don't know, whether it's the past 30 years since Fundi came up with with the SDF. We've been doing it. We've been on the streets. We've been to jail. We've done everything possible. Now is that turn to show the world that they are made up of some kind of stuff too.
Let them bloody fight. The future
Let them
is
bloody fight,
theirs.
man.
The future is theirs, said the late barrister.
We are gone.
Lillian?
I'm finished.
Over to you, Lillian.
Yeah, the people of the geographical space called Cameroon have been very, very hurt at different points in time. The Bamili case, the Northerners, the Southern Cameroonians. And I think that in the Third Republic, there will be a need for a deep, deep dialogue, a real dialogue, to sort out these issues, to sort out the state, the form of the state, the governance systems, because even if Tchiroma comes on board now, the pain that people feel, he does not have the capacity to take away that pain. I think whichever government comes in now, there is a need to dialogue with the people for healing,
You're talking of
because there's a lot of
the
pain.
form of the state of La République, or the form of the state including our southern Cameroon.
When we say the form of the state, it includes the people of Southern Cameroons who are currently the people of La République. Whatever happens, whether it is separation or whatever outcome, I am not concerned about it, but I'm concerned about a dialogue about that. There's a need for that dialogue to happen, for the people to do their self-determination of what they want to be, where and how they want to be, within what kind of governance system. It
Thank
cannot
you.
be decided for them.
Thank you very much,
They need a
Lillian.
referendum.
And I like to say this to conclude also on this program. Dieudonné Essomba, an economist in La République du Cameroun, said one very important thing that should be a take home today for the citizens of La République du Cameroun, who are now going to perhaps be fighting for their destiny under the leadership of Issa Tchiroma Bakari, while we, the people of the southern Cameroons, observe and see how we pick up the cue from there to determine our future. I want to say this, that Dieudonné Essomba said, anybody who thinks that they can unseat the Bulu Ekambeti at a 2D, they should go and be creating the presidency elsewhere, because it doesn't see how they will pass to enter the 2D palace in Yaoundé, because the seat of the presidency is in Yaoundé, in Dia Yaoundé. And so Issa Tchiroma could well be thinking of getting his own presidency in Garoua. And I think that what the people of La République du Cameroun need to note is that if they make the same mistakes that were made before, the mistakes that were made before, Fundi is not like Fundi, and the people failed woefully at the time. The people of the southern Cameroon, especially the people in Bamenda, were fighting. They stood up. When they declared a state of emergency in Bamenda, the other regions stayed quiet and they were watching. And so the people of Bamenda would be overpowered. And when it happened to Kamto in 2018, when Kamto was dumped in jail, other people were watching and hoping that the people of the West should rise up. The people of the West simply told him, you are on your own. So right now, what the people need to know is, if they think that they should sit down and watch Garoua or the North fight it all by themselves, that is another recipe for failure. If the people want to make change, ils doivent synchroniser. They must synchronize, which means there should be action simultaneously in Douala, as there is in Yaoundé, as there is in Garoua, as there is in Marwa, as there is in Bafoussam. If they don't do that, or as there is in Betwa, if they don't do that, and they feel that Issa Tchiroma is up there, they are watching, waiting for the people in Garwa to do it for them, then you can be very certain that the same causes will produce the same results. So I want to thank
And that's why,
everyone for being part of this program. I really want to thank you sincerely. I appreciate the time and the energy and the research that you made coming into this particular program. I'm very delighted that we brought it all the way to the end. We will definitely have another opportunity to be back here to share and to sensitize our people of the southern Cameroon so they understand how, the election in the southern, in La République du Cameroun, how the outcome of that election and how the events that will be unfolding there in the days ahead would actually affect us. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for those of you in the audience who spent time with us. If you were just joining, make sure you share the link as much as possible. Let other people have the opportunity to share in the information that we discussed on this platform today. Until then, thank you very much. Have a nice time. We end as we started with our beautiful women from our beautiful people from Saltland.
I was